26-year-old Patrick Smith is suing his ex-girlfriend, 18-year-old sales clerk Elizabeth Hall, for loans, rent, eviction fees, and harassment.
Order. All rise. Yes, case number 17 on the calendar in the matter of Smith versus Hall.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
How old are you, Mr. Smith?
26, ma'am.
And you're 18?
Yes.
She was your girlfriend? She
Yes, ma'am.
became your girlfriend when she was 17. You're no longer involved. You claim she owes you the balance of a loan that she made for a car. You borrowed the money from your grandmother in order to give to her. You've since paid your grandmother back. She's paid back $400 of how much was the loan?
It was a total of $1,500.
And you paid back?
$400.
So how much do you owe?
$1,100.
Isn't that easy?
Yes.
Perfect. Is there any reason why you think you do not owe that money?
The reason is I spoke with his grandmother 3 weeks ago, and we still have an agreement that I'm going to pay her back. I have every intention on paying her back.
So you acknowledge that this is a loan?
Yes.
No, because that's not what you said in your answer. What else do you think she owes you for now that you're no longer a couple?
Okay, good afternoon, Your Honor.
Listen, we're way past hello.
Okay, I understand. We moved in together. The relationship was really good. We moved in 410.
We're past hello.
Okay.
What else do you think she owes you for?
$1,000 in back rent, ma'am.
Now I'll ask you questions.
Okay.
How much is the rent on the apartment where the two of you were living?
It was a house. It was $1,100 a month.
And how old was she when you moved in with her?
She was 17.
So she can't make a contract with you to pay rent?
I have her on the lease as
I don't
an
care
extra
whether you
source
have
of
her
income.
on the lease as your mother, your grandmother, your favorite aunt, or anybody else. She cannot make a contract when she's 17.
Okay, I understood. I have her name written down on here when she was 17, saying she was an occupant in the house. That she was
an occupant.
Extra source of income to the house. The agreement.
That's all wonderful.
Okay.
She can't make a contract when she's 17. She cannot enter into a binding contract when she's 17 years old.
I have her signature on here and everything stating.
As an occupant?
As an occupant, yes.
Got it. She's an occupant. She was, in fact, an occupant.
Yeah, and then we were living together. She turned 18, and then after she turned 18, she up and left.
There you go. That's why you don't go into an agreement with a 17-year-old.
Right, exactly.
Now, how old was she when you took out this loan for a car?
She was 18.
Okay. You're safe.
Okay.
Okay. What else do you think she owes you money for?
I got charged to file the eviction. When she turned 18, it took her 2 months to get her stuff out of the house, and I had to get an eviction notice because she wouldn't get her stuff out.
What stuff did you want out of the house?
A whole bunch of stuff. There was all kinds of stuff in the garage, refrigerator, dishwasher, VHS tapes, children's books.
Who has children?
They're her nieces. I occasionally watch them sometimes.
Occasionally, sometimes.
When we were together, yes.
What else?
And
I mean, you might as well get it all off your chest.
The harassment, she would drive by the house, all that stuff, and, harass me with everything.
Did you go to the police?
I went and got a temporary protective order against her. Yes, I did.
Did you follow through and get a permanent one?
Just a 30-day one.
Why didn't you follow through?
Didn't feel the need to do it. I thought it was done and over with.
Is it done and over with?
Yes, it is.
Well, then why are you bothering me with it?
I apologize for that.
Good. She owes you $1,100 for the car loan. What else? Is that it? Is it all off your chest now?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Perfect. All right, you have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Get to it.
He ran me off the road with his car.
When?
On January 19th, and he got out of the car and punched my passenger window 3 times, and it ruined the window regulator. It doesn't roll up correctly.
Did you file a police report?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a copy of it?
Yes, and the estimate for the window.
I don't want the estimate yet, just I want to read the police report. Mr. Smith, were you contacted by the police?
Yes, I was, Your Honor, but I never punched the window.
Were you contacted by the police?
Yes, I was.
And what happened?
They asked me to see my hands to see if I had broke the window, asked me if I punched the window. I said I tapped on the window to try and get...
Tapped on it?
Well, tapped on it to get her new boyfriend's attention, because he said anytime, anywhere, any place, so it was that time, that where, that place.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
How did it come to be that you were in a position to tap on the window?
She was driving through my neighborhood.
Very slowly.
Okay.
And I want you to understand something, Mr. Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't shimmy. Don't shake.
Okay.
Don't try to get over. Just tell the truth.
That's what I'm doing.
The truth will set you free.
Okay.
She was driving through your neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
She was driving through the neighborhood. I was coming back from the grocery store. I seen her car leaving my neighborhood.
Okay, so she's leaving your neighborhood.
Yes, she had just got done driving in front of the house.
Fine. So you came up from behind her?
Yes, and stopped.
And then you pulled in front of her?
Yes.
And when you pulled in front of her, did you stop your car?
Yes, I did.
So her car had to stop?
Yes.
Now, we're together.
Okay.
And then I assume, Mr. Smith, you exited your car.
Yes, ma'am.
When you exited your car, where did you go?
I went to the passenger window.
Who was sitting in the passenger seat?
Her new boyfriend, Joseph.
Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
So you went over to Joseph.
Yes. I tapped on the window and I said, let's do this.
Tapped on the window.
Yeah, I said, get out, let's do this.
What did you want him to do?
Get out of the car. He told me.
Get out of the car and what?
And handle it like men.
You have to be more visual with me.
Get
I'm
out of
not
it.
a guy.
Oh, I understand. I got a phone call the day before that saying we could handle it like men anytime, anywhere is fighting. So he was driving through my neighborhood with her in the car. I got out of the car. I tapped on the window, said, get out, let's do this. It's the time, it's the place right now, let's do this. And he locked the door and they drove around.
He locked the door.
He locked the door and they left. And I proceeded to go home.
What are you mad at him for?
He said anytime, any place, anywhere.
What are you mad at him for?
Because he started contacting her when we were together, selling her drugs and stuff like that. I mean...
Well, just a second. First of all, how do you know that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
By cutting her off and by looking to have a fight with him, I think that there's a screw loose somewhere.
Okay.
So I think you're a lunatic.
And later today,
Is there a concert there? Is there...
There is a concert event that lasts for 3 days, and we camp with tents and everything. So it's a camping. There's no really...
Great. I always admire people who camp and get down to nature.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patrick Smith says ex-girlfriend Elizabeth Hall owes for loans, rent, eviction fees, and harassment. Elizabeth is countersuing, claiming Patrick ran her off the road.
Now, you think that he was contacting her while you were together.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why would that make you angry with him? He doesn't owe you anything. She does if you were living together, but why would you be angry at him? He's a free agent. He can do whatever he wants to do.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
He doesn't have any allegiance to you. She did. You might be angry with her, but why would you be angry at Joseph?
He made me angry. He told me on the phone if I wanted to handle it like men, handle it like men.
Well, I don't understand why you think Joseph would call you unless there had been some history.
No, I was talking to the phone. I was talking on the phone with her, and he was in the background.
What were you doing talking on the phone with her? She had moved out?
I was trying to get her stuff out of the house.
And what were you saying to her in order to get her stuff out of the house?
I was trying to let her know to pay Grandma back and to get her stuff out of the house that I was.
So what were you saying to her?
I said, you know, you have 30 days to get your stuff. I filed an eviction notice.
Were you saying that to her nicely?
Yes, of course.
No.
Okay.
And then after you were talking on the phone nicely to her, he got on the phone and said to you, we can handle this like men anytime, anywhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And then you thought it would be a good idea to cut him off on the street and have fisticuffs there in the middle of the street.
Yeah, correct, yes.
You're an idiot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What do you do for a living?
I was a sheet metal pre-apprentice.
Well, that's in the past tense. What are you now?
Right now I'm unemployed. I'm currently looking for work.
Who do you live with?
Adam Allen.
What does he do?
He works for the water company.
So who supports you?
Unemployment.
Continue with regard to your counterclaim.
I'm countersuing for the $320 for my window.
Right.
And I'm
You got it. $320 for the window. What else?
And then the remaining money, the $1,680 for just harassment and punitive damages and just emotional stress, because I have to go.
You know how much stress I have every day.
I have to go to the courthouse 4 times now, 2 for restraining orders, 2 other times for the violations of the restraining orders.
What happened with the violations of the restraining orders?
She got denied. Sorry.
The first restraining order was granted for 30 days.
Well, that's a temporary one. He wasn't present when you were granted the temporary protective order. And then you went back.
And got an extension for 1 year.
Okay, so you got a 1-year protective order.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was present on that day?
Yes.
And then there was a violation?
Yes. The day out of court, when we were leaving the courthouse, I got down into the courtyard, and he came down the stairs and chased me through the courtyard, yelling my name, trying to talk to me.
Did you file a violation?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened with that?
We went to court, and he brought a lawyer with him. And his lawyer decided that I wouldn't get to speak on the other two, and that violation didn't mean anything because I didn't have any witnesses.
His lawyer didn't decide that. No.
Your Honor, I would have never.
That was a judge who decided that. You had to hire a lawyer? Did you hire a lawyer?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What do you mean, yeah, oh, yeah? It requires either a yes or a no.
Well, because she accused me of breaking windows and stuff like that.
No, there's no question you broke her window. There's no question you broke her window when you cut him off. That you're going to pay for, $320. That's coming off.
No, not that one. They said that I broke windows on their house.
I'm not asking anything about damage to the house.
That's why I brought a lawyer.
Is that the only time you brought a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
When I made that violation, that had nothing to do with about the windows being broken on the house. I have no idea how he knows about that.
She wrote it down to me in the restraining order.
No, I did not.
I have a copy of it.
Just a second. Just a second. I'd like to see it.
Okay.
When were the windows in your house broken?
On the same night that the restraining order was granted. And the first violation that we went to court for was just for chasing me out of court. He might have the copy now of the windows being broken. That was the other 2 restraining orders. But the day he went to court with a lawyer, it had nothing to do with the windows.
Okay.
Right here. And that's the copy of the other one right there.
When did you retain the lawyer?
I want to say March 25th. I hired the lawyer, I think. I don't really remember when I hired the lawyer. I think it was around March, yes.
How many times have you had to hire a lawyer?
Just this once. This is the first time.
Well, then you should remember when you had to hire him. We're not talking about 2 years ago, sir. We're talking about within the last 60 days. When did you hire the lawyer?
March 25th.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
Her motion for a violation of the protective order wasn't filed until March 26th. You just told me that you hired a lawyer on March 25th.
I told you it was around that time.
No, you just said March 25th.
Yes, I stated it was March 25th.
This is on tape.
But it was around that time. I told you I didn't really remember the exact date because I don't remember exactly when I got served with that. It's the end of March, I know that.
Perfect. You've been harassing her, Mr. Smith?
No, ma'am, I have not. I don't want to have anything to do with her. I'm sick of it. She's harassing me. She keeps saying a bird on her car, and I'm getting in trouble for it.
No, we're not talking about that.
I'm just saying that's the way it's going.
We're talking about showing a bit of temper.
No, ma'am, I haven't even...
Is this the person who went to court with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. Over there. What's your last name?
Alan.
Did you go to court with him when he had a hearing?
Yes, but I didn't go inside.
Oh, you waited outside?
Yes.
Did you see him when he came out of the courthouse?
Yes.
Look, Mr. Allen, don't play with me.
Well, there was 2 courts he went to. I went to the second one, not the first
23rd
one.
23rd of March.
I didn't go to that one, Your Honor.
You're safe. Sit down. You owe $320 for the window you busted. You know, I owe another $500 because I think you're a lunatic. And by cutting her off and by looking to have a fight with him, I think that there's a screw loose somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm taking the $820 off the $1,100 she owes you, because she does owe you the $1,100 for the loan for the car, right?
Yes.
Your Honor, she was 18 when she was in the house, and she left 2 months, just left her stuff there and just up and left.
That's too bad. You owe him $180.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much. That's all.
Please are excused. You may step out.
Her true colors really came out right when she turned 18.
Because of him. I just couldn't put up with it anymore.
The beauty is,
He's very verbally abusive.
It's hiding the devil inside of her.
And he's not the guy for me.
She's gonna leave you high and dry, man.
It was time to go.
That's all she did, was just leave me high and dry.
I just hope he'll leave me alone and let me live my life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Canaan versus Combs. Step forward.
Christopher Canaan is suing 19-year-old Maya Combs for the cost of a camping ticket at the Coachella Music Festival.
Mr. Canaan, we really don't need a chart. Okay. It's not a very difficult case. Okay?
All right.
Pretty simple. Miss Combs, you purchased a campsite.
Canaan purchased it. I gave him $250 to split it, the ticket.
Who purchased the campsite on the internet?
I did, and I have a receipt here for the purchase price.
And you gave him $250?
Yes, ma'am.
And
he bought the ticket, and then he gave the ticket to me because I was going to be arriving at the campsite first.
Okay. So you bought the ticket.
That's correct.
Gave it to her.
Yes.
She was going to split it with you.
That's right.
Now I got it. You arrived later.
I did, so...
Your phone died.
Yes, ma'am.
As a result of which he couldn't get in touch with you.
But I did text him directions to the campsite.
He couldn't get in touch with you because your phone died.
Yes.
We understand that?
Yeah.
He bought the campsite, he sold half to her, but he gave her the ticket, which allowed her to get into the campsite. There's somebody there that looks at your ticket when you go in?
Yes, there's a line of
So
cars.
there is a person there that you have to show that you have authority to be in the campsite.
Yes.
Is there a concert there? Is there...
It's a concert event that lasts for 3 days, and we camp with tents and everything. So it's a camping, there's no really...
Great. I always admire people who camp and get down to nature. In any event, your phone died. He never got to the campsite.
That's
right?
correct.
And you want your money back.
That's something I'd like back.
What? Is that simple?
Yeah.
Now, did your phone die because you forgot to charge it?
No, because I left my charger at home. And
Oh, okay. So your phone died because of your negligence in leaving your charger at home.
I did text him directions to the campsite.
What if he couldn't get in?
He can get into the
Just
campsite.
a second. How do you know that he can get in?
It was free for anyone to go into the campsite, just not with their car.
And how is he supposed to get there?
He can walk in like most of the other people who are
Did you
getting
walk
the
in?
campsite.
Just a second. Did you walk in?
I was walking in and out of the campsite.
Did you walk in or did you take your car?
I took
Look
my
at
car
me.
in. I took my car in.
Don't think. Don't think. Just tell the truth. If you tell the truth, it's very simple. You took your car in because you had a
Car.
ticket.
Other people who did not
Listen
have
to
a
me.
ticket.
You took your car in because you had a ticket. He couldn't take his car in, even if he wanted to, because he didn't have a ticket. You had his ticket, and your phone died because you left the charger home.
He agreed not to take his car in.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. Madam, when you do something wrong, you're supposed to acknowledge you did something wrong. You're supposed to say, I'm sorry.
Well...
What do you want?
Your Honor.
What do you want? Did she give you $250? Listen. Did she give you $250?
She did give me $250.
Did you pay $500?
I did pay $500. That's correct, Your Honor. And I guess what I wanted to add was just that because we weren't able to stay there for 3 days, we stayed under a car. We slept one night. My witness can testify to that. And
I don't care.
It's a sold-out concert,
I don't care.
so there's no... All right.
I don't care. What you bargained for, you didn't get.
That's right.
The campsite
and it
was
cost
left
you,
open.
and it cost you $250.
That's right.
That's what you're getting back. Good. Say thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now, the next case.
All parties on Monty versus Shore. Step forward, please.
Kimberly Monty and Jennifer Shore were such close friends, they swapped money between bank accounts. When something didn't compute, the friendship went bankrupt.
Yeah, this is number 96 on the calendar in the matter of Monty versus Shore. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Real good friends for a long time, all broken up over $1,378.
Actually, more than that.
Tell me why.
I had asked Jennifer for a loan that we have gone back and forth. We've trusted each other many, many years, and we have been there for one another quite some time. I asked her for a 10-day loan. We were going on vacation, my husband and my family and I. Jennifer was also going to join us. Jennifer agreed to the loan. I asked her if she was overdrawn. She said no. She ended up overdrawing. She ended up taking money that was owed to her that she technically let me borrow, and then continued to withdraw money over $1,000, and then there's other money for other loans that had been outstanding in the past.
How much in total?
In addition to the $1,378, it's an additional $711. So the $1,378, my total claim was for over $4,100, which is 3 times her amount that she admits owing to me. She admits owing $1,378.
Well, that's what you say she took. $1,378.
Correct.
And when
that's what she admits owing to me.
How did it come to a point where you're not talking to each other if you were such good friends and used this money back and forth and Did you have an argument? Did you have a fight? About the money or about something else?
A little bit of both. I had asked her, she'd never told me one time on our vacation how much money that she owed me, other than that we would have to go back and forth for a while. And she never mentioned it until we got back and said, she told me that she would owe me $640, which ended up being quite a lot more.
Okay.
So then she blew up and said it was all about me, and then I left nasty messages on her answering machine in desperation, trying to get her to do anything. I left nice messages, nasty messages. I left notes. I mean, it was just, yeah, it was crazy. She left me stupid 3-page letters. She taped a letter to my husband's truck saying that I didn't tell him the whole story, meaning that she was really using my money to put back in her account, and money was just being, you know, thrown all over the place.
Okay.
Okay. She asked me if I would float her some money because she was overdrawn in her account. And I said yes, and I did tell her that I had checks outstanding in my account for $200. So I would need to clarify that so her checks didn't bounce. She gave me all of her information about her checking account. We sat together. She squared up both checking accounts with me, showing me these are the checks she had written out. This is what needs to be covered. She was mostly concerned about her rent check. She asked me to do whatever I could to make sure that her checks did not bounce. I got overwhelmed by the whole thing. I should not have done it. It was not worth our friendship.
Because you took a hell of a lot more than just what I needed, didn't you?
Okay. She acknowledges, Miss Monty, she acknowledges that she took in her answer that she owes you $1,378. She seems very upset. You don't want to be a friend anymore?
She said horrible, mean, hateful things to me. You're asking me if I want to be a friend? I don't know.
That's, you know, that's in the past. How long have you been friends?
20 years.
That's a long time.
Last month.
It's nice to have. Were you best friends? Anybody better friend? So you made a mistake?
Absolutely.
Miss Monty, she made a mistake.
I told her I made a mistake in writing.
So then you couldn't let us know what was going on? Jennifer, I would have thrown the money in the gutter for you, and you know that. To say the mean, hateful things that I'm selfish and that it's all about me, that is ridiculous and it's asinine.
Not about the money,
no, that's
Kim.
exactly what you said to me. You blew up on my face. What was this? Oh, I'm all about my mother. What does that have to do with anything? Oh, yes, you did. Now you're going to deny about the mean, hateful things you said to me, right?
She said mean, hateful things?
Horrible things. Okay, I know, but you know what? It gets me uptight because if this person thought that I was selfish and that it's all about me and that I'm just like my mother, why do you want to be my friend? Why?
It was totally...
That's what I would like to know. Why?
Okay. Wanted to listen. I think you really want her to answer that question. Why?
Well, yes, I did tell her that it was all about her. I told her in an argument that we got into, which is what ended everything. I had gone over to her house. She was already angry at me.
Did you say things you didn't mean?
Probably. I did say it's all about her, and I do mean that, but it had nothing to do with the money. It was all about her when she was wanting me to argue with her. I said, let's sit. We were sitting in her living room, and I said, let's sit down and discuss this. And she kept pursuing and pursuing. And yes, I blew up, and yes, she blew up. And yes, just like we've done in the past, we've had times where we have said hurtful things to each other because we are the closest of anybody in our lives. And yes, I'll say that we're both even. I said hateful things, and she said hateful things.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned.
Okay, Kim, you're going to get your money. Is there anything we can do today to see if we can patch you two up? What do you think?
I don't know if she really wants me to be a friend. I don't know.
Here.
And you know what? I don't know. I personally think that I've gone on with my life for the last several months. I've had to do without an awful lot. My children have had to go without an awful lot. You didn't seem to care. You honest a lot of things. Yeah, but you didn't even have the decency to give me your breakdown when I asked you. You didn't have the decency to tell me on vacation. Other than that, when we got back, that we ruined your vacation. No, you didn't.
And I said, I'm not sure.
You know what? That's beside the point.
I didn't finish the accounting, and I told you that.
Listen to me. I don't want to make it worse. Why don't you come up here for a minute? Shh. Bird, I want them to be quiet. I have a best friend. I think we had 2 fights in all the years that we've been best friends over stupid things. I think the first one was when we were 12, and I didn't care about clothes, and I bought her the wrong color corsage for her 12th birthday. You know, you're supposed to buy them with bubble gum and stuff on it, and she was wearing a pink dress, and I bought yellow stuff. Stupid. And the second time was also open nonsense. But if I didn't have her around, I would really feel as if I were missing something. It looks to me as if your friend made a mistake. She's really sorry. You know, lighten up a little bit. I know you're angry. You're going to get your money. I'm going to see to it that you get your money. It would really be nice. It would make my day. I have not had a terrific day here today, I will tell you. It would make my day if you went out and had a cup of coffee. Just that. You think you can do that?
Well, our kids have to go to school together eventually, so it's not going to be real good to have PTA meetings, you know.
So how about a cup of coffee?
I'll go if she'll, you know, I don't have a problem.
You won't argue.
Don't fight?
I don't have a problem with her, as long as you don't.
We got over Isabella.
That was quite a trip.
Okay, so we had to top that one.
Okay, but Jen, you know what? I'm still really hurt, and I just don't want to end up going out where, you know, and you're going to say that I'm selfish in this, because if that's really the way you feel about me, then I'm not a friend for you.
Well,
if you really feel that I'm
your
selfish.
therapist about me for 1 year.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Go get a cup of coffee. You don't have to be best friends if you don't want to be.
Okay. I understand what you're saying.
But just have a cup of coffee. Your kids go to school together.
Mm-hmm. They will eventually.
All right?
They'll catch up together. Mm-hmm.
All right? From here, go for a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It'll be on Bird. Okay, judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,378.
Thank you.
Why is that excuse? You may step out.
Thank you.
Judge Judy will return.
He's on Kosick versus Komar. Step forward, please.
Kevin Kosick says he overpaid his ex-girlfriend, Deanna Komar, for child support. He wants her to repay it. Deanna can't believe he would take money intended for his daughter.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is number 82 on the calendar in the matter of Kosick versus Komar. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Not a particularly unique situation. Let me understand what this lawsuit is about, and I have some real questions to ask you folks. You two dated for a while, about 5 years ago. You had a baby, never got married. You started to pay child support through the court. Then you had another baby. You went back and you got a reduction, and they were taking the money right out of your check. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Income deduction order, so that went right to her from the court. And you say that you overpaid after this reduction was granted $108. Is that right?
Correct. That is correct.
So you're suing her for $600?
Yes.
All right. For some reason, interest and other interest. All right. So I have some questions that go back a little bit, because I've read your complaint and I've read your answer. You have a daughter together, and she's now 5. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Her name is Berlin. You say, sir, in your complaint that from the time the child was born, you always paid support.
Yes.
How much did you pay every month, say in her first year of life?
I paid for her schooling. It was around $400
Well, she
a
wasn't in
month.
school when she was
For the
6
first
months
year of her
old.
life, any money that she needed.
What does that mean?
Any time that she needed money and asked for the money, I would give it to her.
I'm asking you how much you gave her regularly during the first year. $50 a week, $100 a week, $200 a week.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know
How
exactly.
much did he pay you in child support that first year?
Nothing.
Now let's talk about...
I didn't get child support until about 2 years ago. We went to and got the court order.
Well, I see that you indicate that there was a paternity proceeding and you were ordered to pay child support through the court at that
He paid some of
time.
her schooling and stuff before, and at a point he quit, and then I went to court and got the court order.
In the second year of her life, sir, how much did you pay for child support?
Any of the money that she needed. I always gave money for her.
How much?
I don't know. Anytime that she asked for money, I would give her the money.
She's not supposed to have... Can we have quiet here, please? Talking about regular child support, sir. You didn't pay any, am I correct that you did not pay any regular child support until you were taken to court?
Exactly. Nothing regular set $200 a month or something like that. I gave money, and, you know, anytime she needed something, I was there with the
Now,
money.
when you were finally taken to court for child support, you were ordered to pay how much?
The first time, $566 a month.
Had you ever given her $566 a month before that?
I would imagine so.
Did he ever?
In a set amount, no.
In total, was he paying anywhere near
Nothing monthly he was paying, no.
Well, for schooling, for any other expenses?
Not 566, no. Her school never totaled that much.
Now, is this $566 regular support, or was any of that towards arrears that you owed?
That was all regular support.
He did have about a month that he had to pay arrears to, but otherwise $566.
Added on top of that.
Right.
Okay, so it was $566 a month, and that was 2 years ago.
Yes.
And I assume that that money came out of your check?
Yes, it did.
How much do you earn, by the way?
I don't know. Actually, I'd have to ask my wife. I give my paychecks to her, so.
You're kidding me.
No. After all the garnishments and everything, I don't know. I don't look at my
Before
paychecks.
the
I don't know before the garnishments. It's $1,100.
A week?
Every 2 weeks.
What's your annual salary, sir?
I make probably $30 a year.
What kind of work do you do?
I work in construction.
As a construction worker?
A supervisor.
And you're telling me that all you earn is $30,000 a year?
That is correct.
Okay, so you were giving her $566 a month, and then you had another baby.
Yes.
So what did you do?
Continue to pay her, and now we went to court to get the payments dropped because,
Who
you know,
went
I can't.
to court?
Well, we both went and had not to court. I went. We both had the paperwork signed.
Just a second. You went to court to start a proceeding to reduce your child support.
Correct.
Let me see the piece of paper. Okay. So you entered into this agreement. You signed it on the 6th of September? Is that right?
Yeah.
That's what it says. Why
Right.
didn't you sign this agreement on the same day that she signed it, sir?
I wasn't told to. They gave me the paperwork to sign and then mailed it to her to sign.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a receptionist.
How much do you earn?
What, monthly or yearly?
Annually.
Probably about $1,200, $1,300 a year.
12 or 13,000, you mean?
1,000 a year.
And your wife works, sir?
Yes. Well, no, not right now. She did at the time. Right now, she stays at home and watches the baby.
What kind of work did your wife do?
She worked at the same company I did.
As what?
Operations manager.
How much were you earning annually? You're his wife before you had your baby?
Annually, I was probably earning about 15, 16.
From which date to which date was she, do you say that she was overpaid?
September 6th. No, wait up here. Oh, can I ask? She knows what date. So
No. You mean you don't know?
I don't know. I didn't take care of all this.
Step up here.
Your Honor, the reason why I took care of most of it was because I don't work. I have time to take care of the financial part of our relationship.
Good.
And she has been overpaid.
Just tell me
out of
when.
4 checks from the September 15th till November 1st. She gets 2 payments on the 15th and the 1st.
To November what?
1st. The 15th to the 1st. Ms. Komar was aware of the situation, and she agreed before to repay us because she was aware of the wrongdoing, and she was not entitled to the money. And she said she would send a check in the mail, no problem. We gave her 2-3 weeks to respond, gave her some time.
And they harassed me
We called
every
her.
day.
Was in the mail.
We called her, and
They
she
harassed
said,
me every day at work. I've got all the
Your Honor,
things. Also, it comes
she
down to because
is
he
just
was ordered.
a
Just a second.
He was ordered to pay attorney fees, and
You have that in your answer. What about these attorney's fees that he was supposed to pay?
he was supposed to pay $2,100 in attorney fees. And
For what proceeding?
For the child custody hearing for my lawyer for when we went to court.
2 years ago.
Right. And it was ordered if he stopped payment, then he would owe everything in full on top of interest. He stopped paying, I believe, as of May, and then they got another payment the previous November. At this point, he owes my attorney over $500.
Why didn't you pay her? Why didn't you pay her lawyer?
We have continued
We
to
have
pay
been
her
working
lawyer.
on paying off
No.
her.
Why didn't you pay? You want her to send you this $400 and some odd dollars
I have
in
not
one
paid
lump
her
sum.
attorney. She is telling me that I owe her this money.
Mhm.
After trying to get a hold of her attorney and find out, what the fact is on how much that we exactly owe and how much is left, and her attorney says, you don't owe her anything. The money is to come to me. And I said, I just want to get that clear because I don't want to give her $500 and then turn around and have to give you another $500 because, she didn't say that she got the money.
Your Honor.
So I'm supposed to get the $432 from her, and then I will turn around and pay the attorney and make payments.
You're
with the
supposed to get the $432 if I believe that that's equitable, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Yeah, you want to tell me something?
My attorney broke it down for me and what he owes, and then this is a copy
That's
of what he's
irrelevant to the
paid.
case.
That's
Your
a
Honor,
whole other case anyway.
The money was supposed to be dropped because we need to support our daughter as well as Berlin.
Let me explain something to you. Your name is?
Nicole.
Nicole? In most jurisdictions in this country, and she may not have known that because she didn't have a lawyer, you do not get a reduction in child support because you choose to have other children. You take on the responsibility of a second family, understanding that you have a first family or a first child, and if you can afford to have 2 children, you have 2 children. If you can afford to have 10, you have 10. But if you decide to have 10, child number 1 doesn't get reduced support. That's the law in most jurisdictions. Now, what you did was you went to court. You didn't even go to court. You went to a mediator. You didn't have a lawyer. You brought no proof of what your earnings were. I would bet a year's salary that in the first 3 years of your daughter's life, you paid nothing close to $566 a month. And at that time, you didn't have a new baby. The $566 a month was based upon what a court found your income was. That was after a hearing. There was really no basis for a downward modification if you went to court. Just pay attention. There was no basis for a downward modification if you went to court because you had a second child, fully understanding that you had a $566 obligation. Do not interrupt me. A $566 obligation to support this child. And if you could have afforded this child's $566 and another child, that's wonderful. But if you can't, you have no business having another baby. What you do is you don't take her to court to reduce the amount of support, and you acted foolishly. You're not supposed to make judgments without quality information. And the quality information is you're supposed to know what he's earning before you agree to a reduction and what is your child's right, which is to be adequately supported by both parents based upon their means. I don't even know how much he earns now. I mean, if he's only earning $30,000 a year, he's the most underpaid construction worker in this hemisphere. This law, I am dismissing this lawsuit because I don't think you did the right thing on behalf of your child. And I'm dismissing it in good conscience because I believe that the order in this court did not take effect until the end of October when the judge signed it. That was October 24th, irrespective of what you mutually agreed. It did not become a changed order until the end of October. This lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out, please.
And now, the next case.
Parties on Mobley versus Bales. Step forward, please.
Florence Mobley kicked her son out of the house. His girlfriend's mom, Deborah Bales, thought she'd be nice and let him move in. But Florence says Deborah is not so nice. She borrowed money and won't pay her back.
Miss Mobley, according to your complaint, your teenage son was living with the defendant for a couple of years. And recently you lent her $500 that she refuses to repay. Your answer says that that money was for expenses for her son.
Yes, it was.
So I have a couple of questions. How old was your son when he went to live with the defendant?
17. 17, Your Honor.
Why did he move out of your house?
Well,
She kicked him
out. He was attending school in Orange County at the time, and I was residing in Riverside at the time.
Well, how did you know her?
Through the children.
What do you mean through the children?
He was living in her apartment and going to school with her daughter, who also lived in the apartment.
Miss Mobley, that doesn't sound reasonable to me. I have 5 children.
She kicked him out of her house.
Did you kick your son out of your house?
Not to my recollection. He had to attend school there. He had to attend school in that area because I was in Riverside.
Miss Mobley.
They didn't get along because her ex-husband didn't like him.
Miss Mobley.
He was too powerful.
Well, that's not really why we're here.
Well, that's partially why you're here, because he's living at her home. She says that this money that you sent to her was for his expense.
No, she told me it was because she needed to pay some bills.
No, because your ex-husband refused to pay anything.
Just a second. She told you it was because she had to pay some bills.
Yes.
So your son moves into her house when he's 17 years old.
You
don't know. Hey, I want to let you talk. You don't know her at all.
Not
but
at the time.
The children know each other. You have a daughter?
Yes, I do.
That's you. Were they boyfriend and girlfriend?
No, they went to high school together. They became boyfriend and girlfriend later on.
That's what happens when you live in a house
together.
How long did he live there?
I'm not certain. It was about a year. But his father sent $300 a month child support to Deborah every month for his room and care.
Until he was 18.
And his name was Glenn?
Yeah, the father's name is Glenn and the son's name is also Glenn.
Now, after he turned 18, this child support obligation stopped.
So I was left to support him and get him through high school.
Tell me about this $500 that you say she borrowed from you.
In January of 1995, she approached me and said, I've got
she
some bills
called or
to
in
pay.
person?
In person.
Yeah.
At my home. And said, I need
so.
five. Well,
now, listen to me.
It may have
listen
been
to
by
me.
phone.
I have to get information. I can't get information if you keep interrupting. Okay. Go ahead.
It was either by phone or in my home. All I know is she got the $500 money
No, tell me what
order.
she said.
Okay, she asked me for a loan. I need some money to pay some bills. I said,
No,
I happen to
want to
have.
know, listen to me. There's a difference between saying, I need a loan or I need some money to pay some bills. What do you recall that she said to you?
Exactly.
Exactly what?
I need some money to pay some bills.
Okay.
Can you loan me $500?
Okay.
And I said, eek. And I happened to have it at the time. And because my son was living there, I almost felt, gee, out of good faith, I'll loan it to her. She says, I'm not sure when I can pay you back. I said, well, when you can, I would appreciate it because I know down the line somewhere I'm going to need it back. So it was just a simple matter of good faith and when was it going to get paid back. 11 months go by, nothing. In the meantime, a month after that, in February, the daughter and my son split up. He moves out.
Only after he destroyed my property.
Listen. Go ahead.
I don't believe that has anything to do with the case. I just loaned the
Whether it
woman
does or not,
$500.
she's got to wait her turn.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just loaned her $500, and
a month later he moved out.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now let's hear your side of the story.
Well, when you've got a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old, I think he was, 17 could be, I'm not sure exactly the age, but when he's living in his car outside the school, because his mom's kicked him out, my daughter comes to me, Mom, can Glenn stay with us for a little while? He has no place to go. Sure.
So that's at the beginning. But then he turns 18.
Then he turns 18, and the dad stops paying the money.
Okay.
And a couple of months go by, and I did call Florence and asked her for money.
Well, what did you say to her when you called her?
I said I needed to get some money from you to pay some bills. Did not specify what bills, and I have a feeling, if I can remember correctly, it was for phone bills, past phone bills.
I gave you all the money for the phone bills.
Go ahead.
So she gave me the money, and there was never any mention of it being a loan. And I was surprised that it was $500 because there was no mention of how much it was until the check came. And then, yeah, it was $500 because I made comment to her son. Your mom gave me $500. I didn't ask for $500. I wasn't asking for any amount of money. I just needed some money to help, ends meet.
Well, so how much money did you really need from her?
I didn't specify, and at the time
Well, I'm asking you now.
I can't remember exactly how much I needed.
Did you need $50 for a phone bill or $100 for a phone bill? If you were surprised that she sent you $500 because that was a lot.
Yes.
How much did you need?
I would expect about $200.
Okay. So she sent you $500.
Yes.
You mean you thought that the $300 was just an exceptionally generous gift?
No, actually, I thought that was pretty reasonable because I still paid Glenn's rent. I still bought groceries for Glenn. I still made sure he got to school on time. He would work maybe Pizza Hut job, and then he'd quit.
Yes, but at that time, he and your daughter were involved.
Yes, they were. But I still supported him.
Well, I know that, but you understood because you just said to me a moment ago that you understood that the child support obligation of both of his parents stopped when he was 18.
Yes. But I would still expect that his mother would at least care for him.
I did.
No, just to say, well, not necessarily so. I mean, he was a boy who probably could work. You said he worked at Pizza Hut, and if you chose to let him stay in your house, then whatever support money you expected, you really should expect from him.
I did.
Well, why didn't you get any money from him after he turned 18?
Because he said he didn't have it.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned.
Listen, you asked, assuming I accept your statement that you called and asked for some money for bills, and assuming that you expected a check for $200, it's an outside limit. You got a check for $500, which means that $300 was sort of a generous gift because you weren't expecting that money. And she, because you just told me that a couple of months later you called and said to her, why don't you just give me $300 and we'll call it even? That sounds perfect to me. The math fits perfectly. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff, and it's for the plaintiff in the amount.
And now the next case.
All parties on Hauser versus Hauser. Step up, please.
Gene Hauser had a backache. He called his brother Michael, a masseuse. Gene was surprised when he got a bill for his massage. Now they're both suffering.
Judge, this is number 46 in the matter of Hauser versus Hauser. You see.
Have you papers here? The brothers Hauser.
Yes.
Yeah. Michael and Gene.
Yeah. Yes, Mike.
You're Mike.
Yes. I'm the good-looking one.
No, I'm the good-looking one. Now, I read your complaint.
Yes.
It's very peculiar, but let me see if I understand it. You gave your brother some back rubs.
Massages, yes.
Is that like a back rub?
Yes.
And then you sent him a bill.
Yes.
And then you say he also owes you money for a phone bill that you took out in your name. You took out the phone in your name, and he was paying it, and then he stopped paying it. Now you're getting done for the money.
Yes.
Is that this case?
Yes, that's the case.
That's the case. Correct, Gene?
Yeah.
First, let's talk about the back rubs.
Okay.
You live together?
No.
No.
Who's older?
He's older.
Did you ever live together?
Yes.
When was that?
Approximately a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Well, did you give him these back rubs while you were living together?
No, I did not.
So you moved out?
Yes.
Was that amicable when you moved out?
No.
Well, what happened when you moved out?
I moved in with Mom.
Now, your brother called you according to the complaint and said he had hurt his back.
Yes.
And what did you do?
Well, I was in church at the time, and he called and said that his back went out. He had to have a massage right away, and I told him over the phone that I had to wait until after church was out, and he said he had to have the massage right now. So I left church, went home and got my things, and went over and gave him a massage right away.
You had taken massage classes?
Yes, I'm.
Are you a licensed massage therapist?
Yes, I am.
Were you a licensed massage therapist at the time you gave him these back rubs?
Yes, I was.
All right. Has he ever done favors for you in the past?
Yes, favors, right.
Like what?
Fix a flat tire, change the oil.
Did he
so
send you a
forth
bill?
in my car. No.
Well, why did you send him a bill for this back rub?
So I spent a year in school and over $5,000 to go to school, and that's my profession is to do massage therapy. And just like his profession is to drive truck. And if his employer called him and said, we have to have you come in on Sunday to work, and then he went to work for his employer.
So you drive a truck for a living. Did you ever help him move his things from one place to another?
Yeah, a couple times.
Is that right?
Once.
Michael?
Just
well,
one time.
once. You didn't send them a bill, did you?
No, I haven't sent him a bill for fixing his car, for being my brother, or anything like that either.
You see, that's the first thing.
Right.
I don't understand that. You know, I mean, I have a brother who's a dentist. If he drills my tooth, I say, "Thank you, I'll take you to dinner."
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
All right. So let's put the back rubs aside for a second, and let's get to the phone bill. Tell me about the phone bill, Gene.
Well, he was living at the house. I asked him to co-sign for the phone bill, okay, for a cellular phone.
Why did you ask him to co-sign for a cellular phone?
Because I broke my back in 1990, and, well, when you break your back and you're off for 3.5 years, you don't have the excellent credit.
So you needed him to co-sign for you?
I needed him to co-sign for me. Since then, I paid
the brother who couldn't pay rent to you.
Right,
had to have co-sign.
right. He has the credit, I had the money.
All right. Okay.
So anyway, we went on for a year. Everything was fine. About the time that the phone bill thing occurred, we just had some things that happen in life. A baby was born, transmission on the truck blew up, the dryer blew up.
So you stopped paying the phone bill?
Yeah, just because we couldn't. I mean, you have to pay for the baby.
And what else? What other tragedies befalled your household?
Okay, the car got T-boned.
What's T-boned?
Well, we live in like a corner lot like this.
What does T-bone mean?
T-bone's when a car hits the side of your car at 50 miles an hour. That's called T-bone.
Learn something new every day.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
What did you do when your car got T-boned?
Well, we had to pay the deductible, $1,000 deductible, so my wife can have a car for the babies and stuff like that.
Well, the baby doesn't drive a car.
No, but...
But your wife needed a car. She needed a car.
To take the kids to school and blah, blah, blah,
So you fixed the car?
Fixed the car.
And you bought a new dryer?
Bought a new dryer.
What else did you buy?
We had to fix the transmission in the truck that broke.
Did you fix that?
Yep.
What happened to your brother's phone bill?
I didn't pay it. But this is the question. I don't owe him the phone bill. I owe Sprint Cellular the phone bill. Right?
You're telling me that you owe Sprint the phone
bill? I
bill?
owe Sprint Cellular the phone bill. I don't owe him nothing.
But if you say to me that he co-signed for it, that means that by your not paying the phone bill, Gene, you're screwing up, for want of a more judicial term, his credit. And you know that.
Right.
That's not fair.
That's true.
So didn't we just resolve this case? Look how smart I am.
You're brilliant.
Right? The back rubs, Michael, are on you.
Oh, I gave him half price. I told him in advance.
The back rubs, Michael, are on you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
The phone bill, Gene, has to be paid because otherwise it's going to negatively impact on this.
Okay.
On his credit. So I'm going to make sure that your credit remains intact because he understands he's wrong. So the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $549.
Thank you.
Party, step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Step forward, please.
Matt Lee is a rock and roller. Alice Brown is not. When Alice took Matt in as a boarder, she says she didn't know he'd be so loud. He says he wasn't. She kicked him out anyway. Now he's singing the blues.
Order. All rise. Order. Your Honor, this is number 66 on the calendar in the matter of Lee versus Brown. You may be seated.
Mrs. Brown.
Yes. Yeah.
You wrote in your complaint that in your answer to the complaint, to Mr. Lee's complaint, that you are 79 years old. Is that right?
Yes.
And you live in a condo?
Yes.
2 bedrooms?
Yes.
And you rented a room to Mr. Lee?
Yes.
How did that come about?
A church friend of mine called in early August and told me that, knowing that I had a room and could use the money, that she had a friend who had a son who needed a room for a couple of months, and I agreed to. I interviewed Matthew's mother, who seemed like a very loving and caring person.
Is that you?
Yes, Mrs. Israel.
You interviewed me as well, right?
Mr. Lee, I'll get to you.
No, I interviewed Matthew's mother only. The second time I saw her, she came with Matthew, and a $400 check for the first month's rent. And you wanted me to continue with my story? Okay. So...
Would you stop playing with those papers, sir?
So there was no written agreement, but we had a verbal agreement that there was to be no smoking inside my condo, and that then I saw his amplifier and his guitar, and I pointed out to them that I live in a large condominium complex right on top of my neighbors, and there couldn't be any noise. So, and then we agreed to share the phone bill. That was it. Then I have a signed statement here. I made a simple statement, and 11 of my neighbors signed it.
Tell me what happened in your house with Matthew.
Well, it was partly the lifestyle was entirely different, but he. I'm sure that he did smoke in his room and that he did create a lot of noise on my patio, because 12 of my neighbors attested to that on this paper.
Did you hear the noise?
Yes.
So you heard the noise?
Yes.
How did he make this noise on the patio?
Well, with my boom box that my daughter gave me, his guitar, and his amplifier. And
you said that there was an evening when you invited him for dinner with friends.
Yes, that was the same night.
In your answer.
And I had his friend, him and Matthew and his friend for dinner, and then they were out on the patio making noise. And I don't know whether it's true or not, but 2 of the neighbors told me that he was smoking marijuana.
How did you know he was smoking in his room?
Because the room stank of cigarettes.
But you told him you were uncomfortable.
Yes.
Is what you're telling me.
And then he appealed to his parents, came, and they appealed to me for hours about how they wanted him to stay and to give him another chance. And I know I stupidly told him that okay. And then I had second thoughts about this, and I called my daughter, Laura, and she and her husband came, and we waited and waited for him to come back, and we talked many times to his parents about his leaving, and would they come? First his mother they were both coming, and then his mother, and then would we take his things to their house, which we did.
Your daughter?
Yes.
Were you at this dinner party?
Can I go up here now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I was.
Did you hear any noise at the dinner party?
Yes. He was playing music on the boombox out on the patio with his friend. And
okay. Do you think it was a good idea that your mom bring in a tenant?
No, not at all. When the first I heard it, she had already agreed to accept this person she had never seen and never met as a tenant in her house. And she had only done this once before with a girl who was a friend of a friend whom she had met before. But because his mother was so nice and she was so sure that this would, because the mother was so nice, that this would be fine and all right. And then, you know.
Good. Why don't you have a seat? So, move these things out. Now, Mr. Lee, you are suing the defendant for $5,000 for this illegal eviction.
That's correct.
Tell me why you think that you are entitled to $5,000 from this lady.
First of all, I have damage to my guitar. They moved this instrument. It's a vintage instrument. It's worth several $1,000s. I have an advertisement for one like it right here in the paper. It is a 50s Les Paul.
You say in your complaint, sir, that the 2 parts of the guitar that were damaged.
There were 3. I forgot to add the one part.
Well, that's your problem. And you're in your sworn complaint, sir, that she was served with, that she has knowledge of, the 2 guitar parts you say were worth $350, not $2,000.
That's right. This toggle switch and the tip ring, the assembly alone is worth that much. I didn't add this in on the complaint, so I guess that's my fault.
Yes, it is.
The case of the lady and the rocker continues in a moment.
How far do you live from the defendant?
About 8 miles.
Why wasn't your son living with you? You want to answer my question? You were sworn to tell the truth,
I'd be glad to answer.
Matt Lee is a rock and roller. Alice Brown is not. When Alice took Matt in as a boarder, she says she didn't know he'd be so loud. He says he wasn't. She kicked him out anyway. Now he's singing the blues.
Now, you're his parents?
Yes.
Step up here. I have a few questions for you. Mr. and Mrs.
Israel.
Mr. and Mrs. Israel. How far do you live from the defendant?
About 8 miles.
Why wasn't your son living with you?
We're living in a small condo.
How small is your small condo?
2 bedrooms.
Why wasn't your son living with you? You want to answer my question? You were sworn to tell the truth.
I'd be glad to answer.
Well, I'd like to hear it.
My son is 37 years old. He's on his own. We have we had to move out of a large home after I had a very serious trauma, coronary infarction, and we moved into a very small condo, maybe 1,500 feet, where I have my office, such as it is, that was left to me after all the that I went through. And there's no room for even a guest. And
Let me explain something to you,
live.
Mr. Israel.
Yes.
I have trouble believing what you just said to me. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I'm looking at your wife.
Yes.
And according to what the defendant said, this was an arrangement that was going to be a few, not long term, but a few months.
Yes.
And you lived 8 miles away, and I don't care if your son was 37 or 57. This was a short-term arrangement. So there had to be something about your son's lifestyle that you didn't want in your home. Am I correct, Mrs. Israel? Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Up to a point.
Well, now, up to a point, did you tell this lady that there was something that might have been problematic with your son? Quiet. That might have been problematic with your son. Because I could tell from looking at your face, you're his mother. And if he needed a place to stay for a couple of months, if you hadn't had trouble with him in the past, you would have said, well, you can, even though it might be a tight squeeze, you can stay with us for a couple of months. So there was a reason that he couldn't. I'm not even going to ask you what it was, because I'm too kind for that. I just want you to make sure that you tell me the truth. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, I understand.
Very good. Sit down. Why weren't you living with your parents?
Because of my hours, which I told Alice about. I said, I'm a musician, I come in late, I do all kinds of things late at night, I have friends that are going to pick me up. I didn't even have a car at the time, so I had people coming by to pick me up. I'm working on a record right now. I just come back from England. I was working with a producer who had to take me.
Are you telling me, sir, that that's why you weren't living with your parents?
Well, my parents and I don't exactly get along to begin with. My father and I have a tendency to clash, and that's one thing. And because of his heart condition, because of that clash, my mother said that it would be best if we got a place. I stayed in hotels before then.
Okay. It's not a very difficult case. Can I see what he said? Did you yourself move his property?
My husband and I took all the stuff very carefully, packed it in the bags that he did have with him, and took it over to his mother's condo. His mother met us in the garage by her request, and then I carefully undid the bags. I said, here are all his papers. I opened the case, I showed her the guitar, I showed her the Fender
Can I just see what it is, please, that you say was damaged?
Oh, yeah. You can't see the one part here because it's shattered into 1,000 pieces, but these two parts got damaged. And basically what happened, the case is a bit flimsy. The back side of it is open. They could have put something on top of it, like my television set or something heavy that smashed it, but it did smash it.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned. Matt Lee is a rock and roller. Alice Brown is not. When Alice took Matt in as a boarder, she says she didn't know he'd be so loud. He says he wasn't. She kicked him out anyway. Now he's singing the blues.
Mrs. Israel, you look like a very sweet lady. You weren't honest with the defendant. You saw that this lady was probably older than you are, that you had a problem with your adult son, and he's related to you by blood. He's not related to her. I'm certain that when you told her about him, you didn't tell her any of the points that might have discouraged her from renting this room to him. It's unfortunate that at your age, Ms. Brown, you have to share your home with someone, or you felt as if you had to share your home with someone in order to make ends meet. That's very unfortunate. Mr. Lee, I believe Ms. Brown when she says that the room that you were in smelled from smoke. I believe that that's true. I believe that she had told you that there was no smoking in her condo. Well, you seem to acknowledge that yourself when you said you only smoked outside, but I don't believe that that's true. I believe that you smoked in the bedroom as well. That was in violation of this oral agreement that you have. You have no cause of action against her whatsoever, and I'm not certain that they broke your guitar, so this lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
And now, the next case.
All parties on Kusid versus Primes. Step forward, please.
Magician Mark Prines performs human levitation. After Naomi Kust volunteered to be raised, she says she wrenched her neck. He wants her to disappear.
Ms. Kusid, I've read your complaint, and I've read your answer, sir. You went to a party at a country club, correct?
The party started at a country club, that's correct.
And Mr. Prines was entertaining there, doing his magic act?
Not at the country club, at
Where?
the nightclub. We were transported in buses. It was a private party.
So you went to a nightclub afterwards where he was performing?
Where he was hired to entertain the guests.
And you volunteered to be hypnotized?
He asked for people to, he was doing magic tricks and hypnosis, and several people raised their hand, and he selected me amongst other guests.
You volunteered to be hypnotized?
I volunteered to be
hypnotized?
Yes.
Okay. Let me hear as much as you remember about this performance from the time you got up on stage.
Okay. He hypnotized me. I remember while I was seated with the other hypnotized people up on the
How many
stage,
were there?
10 to 12 people, I believe. I was, one of the things he asked me to do was put my hand up in the air and say, you can't put your hand down until I say so. And so that was one of the things.
And you kept your hand up?
Yeah. And then, while still under his control, he directed me as the grand
under my
finale.
control. She is not under my control.
By definition,
by no
hypnosis is a sleep-like state when you are almost unconscious and you are in the control of the person speaking to you.
Hypnotism is the direct communication between to the subconscious mind. It is while in that state of mind where you can communicate with the subconscious mind directly, and whatever makes it into a person's subconscious is their reality.
Many people did what he told them to do. I'm going to let
Do you remember anything else?
Yes, I do.
Well, tell me
Your
what
Honor.
else you remember, and
Okay.
then there'll come a point when you don't remember anymore, and I'll hear your witness.
Fine. Thank you. So he directed me to come center stage. It was a table, 2 chairs were faced back to back in the middle of a dance floor at this nightclub.
They were
and there
facing
was
face to face.
There was a board stretched between the chairs. And he asked me to sit down first on the board and then lie down. So I did. And then he said, your body is getting stiff, stiffer and stiffer. You are getting stiff as a board. You are getting stiffer and stiffer. And at that point, I guess when I was very stiff, the board was removed. At least that's what people afterwards, they were amazed. They said,
do you remember the board being removed?
What I remember is I heard Mr. Prines yell out to the guests for help because I became, in the middle of the act, I think.
Let me say, I didn't yell out for help. I had 2 people from the audience that I had help me on each side.
What do you remember next?
What I remember was that I felt, okay.
Your name?
My name is Bert Finmark.
Finmark.
He had 2 of the other people that were hypnotized at each chair for support, and he had her levitated successfully for a few moments across the 2 chairs. At that
Without
point,
the board?
After the board was taken away.
After the board was removed?
At that point is where the problem came in. She partially awakened, and she sagged pretty severely at the neck and shoulder area.
You mean she
At
sagged?
She sagged because she was partially awakened. At that point, Mr. Prine and I believe another guest immediately...
Let me say she did not
You
sag.
interrupting him.
Forgive me.
She sagged pretty severely because immediately Mr. Prine and one of the other guests brought her back to level, and Mr. Prine proceeded to put her under hypnosis again and continued with the act. And after it was over, she complained a little bit at that stage of her neck hurting. And
Did you volunteer?
no, I did not.
Smart. You remember your parents' words, you never volunteer.
The Magician, The Volunteer, and the Levitation Act continues after this.
Mr. Prines, you want to tell me what happened that night, sir?
There are 3 ways that you can end the performance. What I did that evening was to show that she was, that her faith in what was happening had diminished, and it needed to be deepened. And I do this throughout the entire act. With
So
other
you bring him out a
demonstrations.
little bit and then you put him back in. You bring him out a little bit.
Well, actually, what happens just sort of happens, okay? At any moment, it can be turned, okay?
But
if
you
I feel
do it-
that she is...
Mr. Prines, but what you're telling me is, I'm trying to absorb all
I understand.
of this.
I understand.
What you're telling me is that you chose that evening to demonstrate to the audience that if she lost a little faith in what was going on, she could regress. And then you wanted to show them how you could then bring her back up into this solid board-like position. Now,
That I
that's
could
what you
stand-
just that's what you
I'm
just
sorry,
said to me,
forgive me,
correct? Is that what you just said to me? In my words?
Yes.
All right, this is not a very difficult case. You are suing for $5,000, which is the maximum amount that this court can grant you. And I believe that you are entitled to some recompense. And
Sorry.
But I do believe that you are partially responsible for what happened to you because you acted irresponsibly for yourself without knowing what was involved, without asking appropriate questions. So the judgment in this court is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment. Dies. Custody of her 2 daughters goes to the mother's family because their father is in jail. But when the father's family has the girls for a visit, they illegally keep the little girls in Idaho.
Order. All rise. Order. Yeah, this is number 22 on the calendar in the matter of Young versus Henderson. You may be seated.
This is a really sad case. So I'm prepared to spend some time on this case this morning and roll up my sleeves and see if we can maybe resolve some things for the benefit of 2 little innocent girls. How old are your great-granddaughters?
They're 6 and 8.
You look very young to be a great-grandmother.
Thank you.
You are the maternal great-grandmother to these 2 little girls, and you are the paternal grandparents to these 2 little girls. So let me see if I understand this lawsuit. Your granddaughter died,
Yes,
mother of the children.
Yes.
When did she die?
She died July 28th, 1992.
And what was the cause of her death?
They couldn't find out really what caused it, but the death certificate says upper respiratory syndrome.
Your son went to jail.
Right.
For what?
Possession of stolen property.
How long was he in jail?
3 years. 3 years.
So now, Miss Young, why don't you tell me what happened after they took the girls the 27th of June?
When they didn't bring him back by July 27th at 6 p.m., like the court order they had signed, said, I got worried. And the reason I got worried, because they tried that before. That's the reason I got custody of the children.
You were concerned because the 27th of July came and went and you didn't see the girls.
Okay. So I called their home, the phone number that they gave me, and they had disconnected their phone. I became worried. So then I called Diane's work, and she told me...
That's you. You're Diane.
Yes. Yes. And she told me not to be calling there, and if I have any questions, get with your lawyer. That's what she told me. So I did. I called my lawyer. And we all became concerned because of what had happened before, you know. So then I had to get my lawyer involved in this. I had to get the Twin Falls Sheriff's Department involved in this.
Well, so how did you finally get the girls back? I assume they're back with you?
She finally, Diane finally brought them back to the Sheriff's Department.
When?
After, that was Thursday, August?
3 days after we arrived.
3 days after we had got there.
Who are you?
I'm Vita Sauer. I am the children's grandmother.
Okay. You traveled down?
Yes.
You traveled out to Idaho. That's what you're suing for, the expenses,
That's right.
your lawyer's expenses and the expenses that you had for going down and getting the girls.
I had to pay all kinds of money. I have all the receipts. And so then when
what happened when you got there?
When we got there, we got in touch with the Sheriff's Department, and it took us a while to get them going on it. They had to call our lawyer in San Bernardino. They had to get an order from the courts in San Bernardino or in Victorville to give them permission to pick up the children and return them to me because I have custody of them, see. Her son was found in the house. They had moved from the house where they were supposed to be.
Did you move?
We did move, yeah.
Did you notify them that you moved?
No.
No, we didn't notify them. We notified our lawyer that we'd moved and changed the address.
Well, why didn't you notify Miss Young?
Well, it's my son's attorney actually that gave us the advice to until she had settled things in San Bernardino, to not let them know where we were, to become scarce. So
I find that hard to believe that a lawyer would tell you that. And if a lawyer told you that, that lawyer deserves to be disbarred. If a lawyer told you that. So I find that very, very difficult as a lawyer myself to think that a lawyer would tell you to violate a court order, considering the fact, sir, that we have in this country the Uniform Child Custody Act, which means that every state, as you probably know, must abide by the court orders of another state when it comes to custody. So you're telling me that this lawyer told you, take the children, make yourself scarce, don't notify anybody.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, go ahead.
That lawyer has also contacted we had to get an attorney, a criminal attorney in Idaho, because we were arrested on kidnapping charges.
But he was already involved in what he ultimately went to prison for while the two girls were living with him.
Correct.
A young California mother dies. Custody of her two daughters goes to the mother's family because their father is in jail. But when the father's family has the girls for a visit, they illegally keep the little girls in Idaho.
And so you went down there, and where was your son during all this?
He's working full time. When was
he released from jail?
July 11th
of this year. So as soon as he got out of jail, he decides that he's going to get his kids back.
Get his kids back, right. So he contacted a lawyer in California.
Is this the first time he was in jail?
First time he was in prison, yes.
Well, are you differentiating between prison and jail?
Yes.
Okay.
He was
How many
arrested
times?
as a juvenile before.
How many times?
Once he was arrested.
Go ahead.
And once we took him to juvenile hall.
What did you take him there for?
Incorrigible behavior.
When he was how old?
16.
16.
How old is he now?
27.
And between 16 and 27, how many times was he arrested?
Well, not including this time, I think two other times.
Two other times?
Two other times, correct.
For what?
Once was for, he stole a car.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was 17.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
You don't remember?
Quite frankly, what the other...
Well, but he was in jail 3 years on this stint, and you know, it's unusual to go to jail for 3 years just for possessing stolen property. What kind of stolen property did he possess? Come on.
Don't know, quite frankly.
Are you telling me you don't know the facts of the case that caused your son to be incarcerated for 3 years, sir? I find that hard to believe.
I don't know what all was the property was. I think there were some... Him and his friend pawned some merchandise, and I think there were some rifles involved in that. I think I don't know what other
kind of property it was.
So we have guns, we have possession of stolen property, and was this property stolen during the course of a burglary?
We don't know that either.
I don't know whether he was involved in a burglary or whether he helped his friend. His friend stole property. So I don't know whether he was involved in the burglary or just.
But there was a burglary involved.
There was a burglary involved.
So it sounds to me as if this young man has given you plenty of aggravation from the time he was very young.
Difficult teenager.
And a difficult adult.
Difficult young adult.
He's 27, 28?
27 now.
He's 27 now, so he was 23, 22 or 23 when his wife died?
Right.
You had him taken into custody when he was 16 or 17 for incorrigibility. Between that time and this recent arrest, right, he was arrested 2 or 3 times in between that, right?
Right.
During the time he was in jail, everything was quiet, and the children were with their maternal grandmother.
Everything was not quiet.
Your Honor, the circumstance of the maternal great-grandmother getting the children was that they were living with us, and their father left them with us, asked us to take care of them.
What do you mean he left them with you? Why wasn't he taking care of them?
Because he was in jail.
He was arrested.
He was arrested.
Okay.
The maternal great-grandmother filed a complaint against us to try to get custody of her great-grandchildren. She had tried several times previous to that, even when our son had him, made false claims against him of molestation and other things. He was totally investigated.
You mean there was a time, sir, when the children were just living with your son after the girl's mother died?
After their mother died.
After their mother died. And when was that? What year was that?
It was immediately after their mother died. They were, they had a house together that they were renting, and the girls lived with him. He couldn't handle it, so him and the girls moved in with us.
Is it that time that he was involved with this burglary and possession of stolen property?
No, he moved to Idaho. That's where he became involved in the burglary.
Why did you move to Idaho?
Because we liked Idaho. We preferred it to California.
Did he move first to Idaho?
He was arrested before. Yeah, he moved to Idaho. Then he came back to California.
Had he been arrested? Listen to me. Had he been arrested already, sir, in Idaho when he came back to California? Was he awaiting trial?
No.
And then he went back to Idaho?
He was extradited to Idaho. The crime was in Idaho.
Oh,
he was.
Listen to me.
He brought the children to us, asked us to take care of the children.
So he was already
at our home.
But he was already involved in what he ultimately went to prison for while the 2 girls were living with him.
Correct.
The Sheriff's Department had to issue an all-points bulletin in 3 states when they did not return the children, and that was issued.
A young California mother dies. Custody of her 2 daughters goes to the mother's family because their father is in jail. But when the father's family has the girls for a visit, they illegally keep the little girls in Idaho.
So while your 2 granddaughters are living with your son, and he's taking care of them, he's involved in either a burglary, possession of property, whatever, stolen property, the whole ball of wax, while he's supposed to be taking care of these 2 girls.
Correct.
Okay. Well, you can understand then why she would feel as if it's not a good idea for him to be around her 2 great-granddaughters.
She didn't know
you can understand that.
Well,
listen to me.
Today.
Listen to me.
Oh, yes, we did.
Listen to me. I assume that she is a smart enough lady to figure out what I figured out in 5 minutes. I'll tell you, after 24 years, this is not a unique story. The names may change, but it's not a unique story. You went down. I'm coming back to our case now for a minute. Tell me what happened when you went down to try to get the girls.
Apparently, these people moved in a hurry and then took the children, I don't know, to some park somewhere.
Your Honor, we were camping.
No, you were hiding.
No.
Yeah, listen to me.
Okay,
you were hiding.
Call it what you want. We were doing what we were advised by an attorney to do.
So listen to me. Whether you were advised by the attorney or not, you were hiding.
Well,
so that you couldn't be found.
You can call it hiding if you want.
Well, that's what you were doing. You were hiding with the girls. You just acknowledged that you were doing that. You say you were doing it on the advice of your attorney. All right. You finally got the girls back.
We had to wait 3 days.
But ultimately, and it was after
yes.
certainly the time period that they were supposed to return
In
them.
fact, the Sheriff's Department had to issue an all-points bulletin in 3 states when they did not return the children. And that was issued in Montana, Utah, and Idaho because they had no idea where they were. The sheriff had talked to Diane on the phone, had warned her that the all-points bulletin would be issued, that a warrant for her arrest would be issued if she didn't bring those children in immediately. That's true. Diane chose not to bring them in until sometime the next afternoon whenever they felt
Your
like
Honor?
it. By then, the warrants had been issued. They were arrested when they showed up with the children and booked into jail.
Yes. Now,
I talked to the Sheriff's Department as soon as we found out that the paperwork wasn't in, that there was going to be a warrant issued for our arrest. I told the Sheriff's Department that we were over 8 hours away. It was 10 o'clock at night. We were bringing the girls in the morning. And they said, all right, if we're going to issue, a warrant for your arrest.
No way.
Listen, that really isn't urgently important. What we know up until this point is you violated a court order, correct? That you agreed to.
That's right.
You agreed to a court order. You signed off on an agreement to return the girls by the 27th of July.
Correct.
Yes, we did.
Fine, you violated that.
Correct.
That caused the plaintiff to expend money to come to Idaho to retrieve her great-granddaughters.
That's right.
There's no question about that. Why
There's
you
no
laugh?
question about part of that.
Well,
Part of it is we told the Sheriff's Department, all right, we were bringing the children back.
But
We're
not until-
we're
not
not
on the
going to
27th.
endanger their lives by driving all night.
No, just a second.
That we would be there as soon as we got there. We would take them directly to the Sheriff's Department. We wouldn't take them home. We would not take them to see their father. We would take them directly to the Sheriff's Department, which is what we did.
She's already in Idaho.
That's her problem.
No,
it
madam,
isn't.
that's your problem because she didn't get there on the 27th. Listen to me, she didn't get there on the 27th. 27th, she was waiting for the girls to be returned.
On the 27th, we were in Idaho.
I understand that. You should have returned the girls on the 27th as you were directed to do by a court, as you signed an agreement that you would do.
Not being attorneys, we believed what the attorney told us was what's going to happen, that she was going to go to court, she was going to file a petition to get a stay on us returning the children, that we were dropping out of the case because all we were doing is opposing her becoming guardian till Tim was able to take care of his children himself.
Do you live with your mother?
No.
You're a little bit younger. I'm just curious as to why you haven't sought custody of your granddaughters.
I believe that my mother could provide the best environment for them. She's retired and has a lot more time to spend with them. I work full-time and I commute 40 miles a day one way to my job, and I have 3 young children, including a 2.5-year-old and a 5-year-old who has Down syndrome. So I'm a very, very busy person.
You have a full plate. Yeah. Okay. The plaintiff spent at least, minimally, according to these bills, $5,000 to come down, including attorney's fees and airfare and lodging, in order to assure that these children will return to her. And you are responsible for that. There's no question about that. And if your attorney gave you bad advice, I suggest you go in and sue the attorney for the amount that this court is prepared to order, which is $5,000. I certainly think that if the attorney gave you that advice, in addition to suing the attorney, what you ought to do is report the attorney to the Bar Association, because that is the worst legal advice. Kidnapping children is the worst legal advice that any attorney can give. We don't do that in this country anymore.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
This case really has no winners. Your daughter is dead. She died when she was a teenager, having had 2 children. Your son has not demonstrated a track record, at least as far as this court was concerned. If I were hearing a custody case, that would suggest to me that 2 young children, should be entrusted to him. While he had physical custody of these children, he was involved in the commission of a felony. Clear, plain, simple. And that's recent. He's out of jail now for a couple of months. That's not a track record. And he's been involved in this kind of activity. This isn't some aberration. He's been involved in this kind of activity for over a decade. You couldn't even control your own child. You had to go to the courts and say to a stranger at some point, I can't even control him. Please help me. So why do you think that any court would grant him custody of these two little girls who have already had the trauma of A, losing their mother, and B, being involved with their father when he was arrested for and committed a felony? These children deserve a degree of stability. And I'm looking at you two folks. I don't know very much about them, but I don't think that you've come to terms with the fact that your son should not have physical custody of these two girls unless he is totally committed to their welfare. So far, he has not demonstrated that. I'm sure to you, if you look at it dispassionately, he certainly has not demonstrated it to a stranger like me. So where should the children be? They should certainly not be with him, at least for now. Now, the question is, if they were with you, how much contact would they have with their father? I think that they should have contact with their father. And I would ordinarily say that if these two people, who are the grandparents and the father is in the area, and if they were two responsible people, there would be some issue as to whether you would be the better custodial guardians of these children as opposed to their great-grandmother, who is a little bit older, maybe doesn't have as much energy, you know, if things were equal. But they're not equal, because you did a very bad thing. You placed the children at risk. You placed the children at risk by violating a court order and secreting them in violation of that order. And I think that the children are better off exactly where they are. So the judgment of this court is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, which is the amount of her request. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Versus McDaniel Marinkovich. Step forward, please.
Lori Wallace paid for her friend Tawny's wedding dress. Now, Lori wants to be paid back, but Tawny vows she won't.
Order. All rise. Judge, it's number 60 on the calendar in the matter of Wallace versus McDaniel Marinkovich. Have a seat, please.
Lori.
Yes.
Tawani?
Tawny.
Tawny?
Yes.
You're Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This was your friend.
Mm-hmm.
This was your friend.
Yes.
She was getting married.
Mm-hmm.
According to your complaint, she asked you to go with her to the place where she had seen a dress that she liked. She went there. She didn't have any money. She wanted to have the dress altered. You allowed her to put the dress on your credit card.
Well, yeah. I volunteered to take her to the store. She found the dress, and I made the first payment and the last payment. It hasn't been altered yet, though, as far as I know.
And the dress was $760 some odd.
Yeah.
And this was a loan?
Yes. She agreed that her mother would pay me $50 a week until she got a job, and then she would take over the payments, and within 3 months the dress would have been paid off. Her mom sent me one check. I told her I didn't get a second check. She checked with her mom. Her mom never did send me the second check.
And then this lawsuit has a few pieces to it.
Yes.
Then you say there's $40 that she owes you for some photographs. You took
Right.
Photographs of her children.
Right.
You have 4 children?
Well, 3 children and one is his child.
So you have 3. How old are you?
21.
How old are your children?
1, 2, and 4.
And one of the children is yours?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 4 children altogether.
Mm-hmm.
How old is that child?
Actually, we have 2 together.
He's 8.
Is that's not your child?
No, this is his child from a previous marriage.
Okay. So you took some photographs together with your children?
No, I took photographs at my last place of employment of her children, her 3 children, and I told her I'd split them, and I paid more than my half of the pictures that I
Because you
wanted.
wanted pictures of her kids?
Yes, and I have those pictures here to prove that I did purchase those.
And you agreed to pay her half, is that right?
Yes. I don't have them. My mother has them in her possession. I looked at them, and my mom took them, and I do not have them
What do
in
you
my
mean she
possession.
took them? She took them or you gave them to her?
She took them. I was living with her in Catalina, and when the pictures arrived with him, she took them. She said she wanted to get some for herself to keep, and I never saw them again. She still has them.
So your mom has the pictures?
Yes.
All right. Then we have a piece of a phone bill that you clearly in your answer, sir, acknowledge that you owe, that you used her cellular phone and ran up a bill of $300 and some odd. How did that come about?
Well, I agreed I couldn't afford the monthly payments for the cellular phone, so I agreed to give him my phone without charging him. He'd pay the deposit, put it in his name. I then called a month later to AirTouch, and they told me he denied to pay the $400 deposit. Next thing I know, I get a $366 cellular phone bill, which I took into account the money that I used.
And how much did you use?
$366 was the total bill. He agreed to $313, so about $50 was mine.
You went over the bill with her, correct?
With her boyfriend, I did, yeah.
Your boyfriend?
Yes.
And you agreed that you made $313 worth of calls. So why are we here? I don't understand why we're here.
Me neither.
You owe, just a second, you owe her for the dress, you owe her for half the pictures, which either you have or your mother has, and you say that, well, she didn't contact you for 2 months, according to your answer, so you thought this loan was forgiven.
And
So
her
I'm gonna
boyfriend
ask,
told me her dad was paying for the bill, too.
what difference
So
does that
I
make? It's not
assumed
your
it-
dad.
I know, but I just assumed it was forgotten about.
Just a second. Well, I want you to think again. It's not forgotten about. So why aren't
Also,
you
I
paying
agreed
her?
to pay for the bill. I just don't have the money for it right now, that's all.
Well,
And
why
she
don't you
hasn't
use the
spoke
phone?
to me for 2 months.
What? Why not?
We're all fighting right now.
Why? Can
I work with the defendant. We both work for the same company, and I've been trying to make arrangements with him for about 4 months now.
That's wrong.
And
That's so wrong.
If he can't pull out a $20 bill to give me, then there's something wrong.
He hasn't spoken to me for 2 months, and that is a lie. This 4
Well,
months
let me
thing.
ask you this question. Did anything precipitate this not talking, or was it just all over
Well,
money?
me and him had words in the store that we work at.
About what?
I don't want to get into that.
Fine, but did those words have anything to do with this debt?
No, it's just the fact that he quit talking to me.
But my question to you is, Mr. McDaniel.
I'm not refusing to pay it. When I have the money to pay it, I'll pay it.
Well,
I
how
have
can you
nothing
use
against that.
something? How can you use something
I didn't
when you
realize
don't
the
have
bill
the...
was going to be that high.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yes.
I went to ask for the wedding dress in my possession until they have fully paid it off. I agreed to give them the dress back at the end of the time that they made the full payments. Okay? I then said, now, like I said, it would be paid off in 3 months. Okay? So I wasn't going to charge them interest. There is interest added on there, $75. Because of the fact that it had been on 6 months. They are correct. My father did pay it. I got a consolidated loan from my father. My dad should not have to pay their debts to me. And she also made a comment to me when I discussed it with her that she is not rich and that I'll get my money when they have it. Well, I'm not rich either. I lost my job when this incident happened, and to me it was totally wrong. They used my friendship. I have proof right here of our friendship. They said things behind my back.
How do we use your
Just
friendship?
a second.
I don't understand that.
I would suggest that you not say anything. I want to know why you didn't pay her for the wedding dress.
Okay, the wedding dress was between her and my mother. Okay, her and
No,
I
Judge,
went to get the wedding
your
dress.
mother didn't go with you to the store.
No, but her and I went to the store. Okay, she volunteered to put on her
How
credit
did she
card.
volunteer?
She
Now,
said,
tell me. I want you to tell me. You went into the store. Tell me what you said. Tell me what she said.
I saw a dress that I wanted. Before she wasn't with me at this time, I was with his mother. I took her back to see the dress with me, and they needed to send it away for it to be altered to fit my size. That's when she was with me.
And
she
so
said,
what did you
I will
say?
go ahead and put it on my credit card.
Just a second.
Okay.
You must have said, I don't have any money with me.
She knew I didn't have any money with me. I wasn't going down there to purchase the dress just to...
Did you say to her, I don't have any money?
I don't remember if I actually said that to her, but she knew that I didn't have money.
Can I say
she
something?
She offered to put it on her credit card, and I said, it's up to you. And then when we went back to get it the second time, when it came back in, she also said the same thing. My mom found out that she was paying for this, so my mom said, I will pay her back $50 every 2 weeks when I get paid.
Well, how did you expect to buy this wedding dress if you had no money? Did you expect her to buy it?
No, my mother was doing it as a gift for me.
She
Lori,
never had any contact with your mother before she went to the store?
It was a verbal agreement between
Her
those
and my
three.
mother
There also was a
did
verbal
agree.
agreement that she would take over the payments as soon as she gets a job. It's not
That is
my
not
fault that
true.
she has 3 kids and she's stuck at home and doesn't have a vehicle to get to and from work.
We
She
don't
did
need to
stay
get into
at
that.
Just a second. Why did you need this wedding dress anyway?
Because we had set a date to get married on July 20th, 1996.
Is it a very elaborate wedding dress?
Yes.
Is it a very... It is?
Well, it's pretty...
Well, it's pretty elaborate.
Do you want me to...
That's a pretty elaborate wedding dress.
Yeah.
Good.
And
now,
sorry.
How many people are you having at this wedding?
I don't know exactly.
Give me an approximate figure.
About 200 or...
And who's paying for this wedding for 200 people?
That's why we haven't gotten married yet.
Who's paying for the wedding? You said you set a date.
I'm saying we can't afford it. That's why we have not gotten married yet. because we have to do it our own now because I'm no longer speaking with my mother because her and I had a falling out in Catalina. We are not speaking.
So now you have a wedding dress and no date.
Will wedding bells ring? Will Tawny pay Lori for the dress? Stay tuned.
You two people better grow up because you seem to have a problem, and your problem is, did you ever hear the word OPM, the letters OPM? That stands for other people's money. You seem to have a propensity for spending other people's money.
Lori Wallace paid for her friend Tawny's wedding dress. Now, Lori wants to be paid back, but Tawny vows she won't.
Who was supposed to pay for the wedding?
My mom was going to help, and our family was going to help.
You two people better grow up because you seem to have a problem, and your problem is, did you ever hear the word OPM, the letters OPM? That stands for other people's money. You seem to have a propensity for spending other people's money.
I don't feel I spent her money on the wedding dress.
Of course you spent her money on her. Of course you spent her money on your wedding dress. She wasn't getting married. Your mother wasn't getting married. You went to the store with her. She was a good friend, a good enough friend.
She gave me the offer.
Hey, listen, you two people probably deserve each other. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount requested, which is $1,140. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Obviously, if they're not making payments to me, I can't trust them to have the dress.
Don't give me your looks, Lori.
She's going to live off of welfare and his paychecks. I'm glad that she gets to keep the dress. They do deserve each other, like Judge Judy said.
I'm glad you won. I really am.
And now, the next case.
Parties on Warden versus Castleberry. Step forward, please.
When Susan Warden's best friend, Elaine Castleberry, needed cash to get married, she loaned it. Susan says Elaine won't pay her back. Elaine says she did pay her back.
You two nice ladies used to be friends.
Yes.
How long were you friends?
About 6 years.
Yeah, about 6.
Then you were going to Alabama to get married.
Well, we were going on vacation to Pennsylvania and Alabama, and we got married in Pennsylvania.
And according to the complaint, you lent the defendant $300.
Yes.
And she came back, didn't pay you back right away. And then there was a problem with your two husbands. Yeah. One borrowed $20 from the other, came in asking for the $20.
That's neither here
You got
nor
angry.
there, though.
You got angry, said, what about my $300? And the fight was on.
I guess so. I got angry over the $20, just the nerve of him coming over for $20 when she owed me $300. He got his money that day.
But he didn't know it. It was between you and me.
I know, but you still haven't paid me back, Elaine.
Listen to me. Don't yell at each other. Talk to me. It's not a lot of money. It's $300. We'll get to the bottom of it. The sadder part of it is that you're not friends anymore. You lent her the $300, then she and her new husband came home, correct?
Yes.
And at some point, your husband went over to get $20 from her husband that he had borrowed.
Right.
And what happened when he came over?
He was just, he was angry about the $20 because my husband takes forever to pay him back, but that's between those two.
So what happened? He came over and he said,
"Where's what?" And he was complaining about the $20 and everything else, and kind of on a rampage, and just angry words and everything else. And I mean, I shut my mouth, and then because her and I are friends, and then I just let loose because I was angry.
So you let loose and said.
And I just said, your, excuse me, wife. I know we're supposed to spell that out, but wife owes me. But I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say your wife, and then the reverse. Because her and I were friends. I did not mean that, but I was angry. And so I gave him the $20, and we haven't spoke ever since. We were neighbors.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Yeah. We were friends for a long time.
So you don't pay me my money. Now you're sitting here lying to me. I'm lying, and you don't pay me my money.
You're
How can we
yelling
be
at each
friends?
other.
You're lying.
When Susan Warden's best friend, Elaine Castleberry, needed cash to get married, she loaned it. Susan says Elaine won't pay her back. Elaine says she did pay her back.
Did you pay her back the $300? Did you?
Yes.
When?
I paid her partial in November, and then the other part in January.
Oh, you're gonna go to hell for lying. You know that's a damn
Miss
lie.
Castleberry.
You did not pay me anything.
You paid her any part of it after you had this argument?
Yes.
You did?
Well, we never had an argument.
Well, when you stopped talking to
Right.
each other.
Okay.
You paid her after you stopped talking
Yes.
to each other? Well, tell me about how you paid her.
How I paid her?
Yeah, tell me about exactly how, under what circumstances you paid her.
I put money in an envelope and gave it to her
Personally?
boyfriend. No,
Ah,
gave
my-
it to her boyfriend.
That's not him.
To give it to him, her.
That's not responsible. It's me you borrowed the money from, not him. Me.
Why?
Well, we weren't talking or anything. You
listen
were
to me.
ignoring
Don't give it to
me.
You
You gave
ladies,
it to me.
listen. You ladies are not paying attention to me. I said you have to talk to me, not to each other. If you want to talk to each other, that would be fine, but you do that outside.
Okay.
It's just
In
outrageous
here you
lie.
talk. In here you
I
talk
can't
to me.
believe this.
Why would you give her cash instead of a check if you weren't talking to her?
I never thought anything about it. I never thought anything about it, not at all.
How long did it take you to pay back this money?
I borrowed it in September, beginning of September, and I paid $150 in November. The end
Did she
of
give
November.
you any money in November?
I haven't received a dime from her. And after that's why I waited till over a year to file in small claims court. I haven't received nothing at all, and I don't lie. I didn't think she did either, but I don't.
Also, this was a loan between her and I. My husband knew nothing about it.
That's why she's mad, because I told him.
And that's why I gave cash mostly also.
Did you?
She didn't give
Let
me
me
any
ask you
money.
this question. Well, after
wouldn't be
the
here.
after the argument, and you weren't talking to each other, certainly your husband knew about it. So then you could have given her a
definitely.
check.
I could have the
Yes,
last
sure.
payment I gave her, yes.
Sure, you could have given her a check. Your husbands, seems to me this problem started over them. So are they talking to each other
Oh,
now?
yeah, they talk.
Now, I've
They
moved.
have been
I've moved
talking.
since. I've moved since. I don't know
but
what all
before
this...
she moved, they've
okay,
been
and it's not my
talking.
husband, first of all. He's my
No, boyfriend.
And
Are you still together?
no.
Why?
Oh, God, that's a long story.
Well, I want to know if it had anything to do with honesty.
Who, Woody? I mean, my...
The boyfriend, the boy
no,
that you
I
lived
just
in
got sick of the same old...
What?
Just not reliable, not working, me supporting everybody. I got tired of it and I threw him out.
Well, then how do you know that he didn't take this money that you gave in an
Because
envelope?
I know she did not give the money. I know she did not, because she does not have the money, and you know how Woody is. Why would you give him money? Because this is an excuse for you right now to use it. She would give the money to me. If she can write me letters and do everything else, the money would go. She borrowed the money directly from my hands. Why can't she give it back to my hands?
That's a reasonable question.
Yeah.
We were friends for a long time.
So you don't pay me my money. Now you're
were.
sitting here lying to me. I'm lying and you don't pay me my money.
You're
How
yelling
can we be
at each
friends?
other.
You're lying.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned.
She has a point.
I didn't even hear what she said. I'm sorry.
Well, generally her point is you have to put the money in her hand, not in the hand of a third person, because then you're never sure whether she's going to get it, especially if it's cash. She tossed out this boyfriend because he was not
I didn't know that.
responsible. Yeah, I know that, but you have an obligation if you owe her money to see to it that she personally gets the money. And clearly, that wasn't done if you gave the money to a third person. You have no information that he actually turned this money over to her. I'm not sure whether you actually gave him the money anyway, but even if you did, it would be like giving it to a stranger and saying, would you give this to Miss Warden? You can't do that, and you know that you can't do that. It's just too bad that you used to be friends, and you're not friends because you got a little hot under the collar.
Okay, I got a little hot on it. Look, she's lying. She's sitting here. I'm glad I'm not a friend with her because she's a liar.
Listen to me. I want you to just think about it.
I don't like liars.
Just think for a second. The two guys got into an argument. You got hot. It really had nothing to do with her. You got irritated because you didn't like what he was doing in your house, and you took it out on her. By saying bad things about her, by calling her a name.
It was one sentence, and I did not mean that
Well,
sentence.
that
I
was-
told her, I wrote her a letter and said I did not mean that sentence. I was angry, and the words got reversed. I did not mean that.
But listen to me. You're
I did not
excitable,
get
but
that.
you're excitable, but you said it. And not only did you say it, but in this argument that these two childish boys were probably having, you had no right to bring her into it because she had not told her husband that you would
That's
lend
why she
her
got
the money.
angry, because
Of
he
course.
didn't know, and that's why, because she got in trouble from him, I believe.
Well, that's
or
true,
not,
but that,
you know, for borrowing money.
But that was something that you created over a situation that really had nothing to do with her. It was the two guys.
Yeah,
So let me tell
they
you.
should have went outside then, I guess.
Absolutely right. So I want you to
Outside
at
my
least
house,
leave here.
yeah.
You're going to leave here with your $300 because I'm going to award you that.
Thank you.
But I want you to at least understand that you caused this problem because you got hot under the collar in a situation that had nothing to do with her, but you brought your friend into it, and you shouldn't have.
I guess, but okay, yes, I did.
That's
I'm
all.
just- I'm not
Judgment for
gonna
the plaintiff
explain
in the amount of $300.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment. Ellen and Daniel Paiva were planning to marry. He got married, but it was to someone else. Now, Beverly says she paid for another woman's ring, and she wants the money back.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is number 43 on the calendar in the matter of Mullen versus Paiva. You may be seated.
Miss Mullen, Mr. Paiva, who are you?
Mrs. Paiva.
You're his wife.
My wife. It's Tina.
He may need you, but not right now. Maybe when it's over. Miss Mullen, I've read your complaint. This was your boyfriend. You lived together for 9 years. Never married.
Right.
Never.
Can you tell me why?
We couldn't get married.
Why?
We were
She was
going
on
to get
welfare.
married. Daniel, we
Just
were
a-
going to get married.
Just a second. What I'm trying to figure out is you had 2 children.
Right.
He had 1 child.
Right.
And you lived together sort of as a family for 9 years.
Correct.
Why during that time, Miss Mullen, didn't you marry?
Because I had a bad marriage previously, so I was gun shy. I wasn't ready to jump in the kettle and get burnt again.
In any event, after this 9 years, according to your complaint, you say that the defendant decided to relocate to West Virginia.
Correct.
And we're going to get married, and he said as soon as he set up there,
we were going to go
you were
there.
going to take your 2 children and go to West Virginia, be married, and be a happy family.
Right.
I understand that your complaint says, sir, you ran to West Virginia to escape.
To escape everything, including the gang for my son and the mistreatment for my son, and I couldn't break away from her.
Your Honor, I have letters from him stating that we were getting married.
Stupid.
And also...
Do you acknowledge, sir, that you wrote her letters? that you
Yes,
were
I
gonna get married?
did. I was in a bad state of mind then. I'm
Up until
serious.
the end of January
Just a second.
of
So at the
95.
time, let me understand this. Do you acknowledge, sir, that after you left and went to West Virginia, you did in fact write to her and tell her that you were going to marry?
Before he...
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Okay, can I answer? Say why. Okay? I was in a bad state at work. Okay? You know, I'm stupid. I was stupid saying that. I know. I wasn't thinking straight.
Yeah, but she relied on that.
But we were talking about it, and then she brought up she wanted to take custody of her sister's kid. We couldn't even afford hers.
You
together.
knew about Felicia
Yeah.
since we've been together.
But we couldn't even afford
Just a
ours.
minute.
And then she said she didn't want to
Listen to
marry
me.
me for my name in California, but in West Virginia. And it's like, that's not love.
No, I said after I
Hey,
received
listen,
my...
you're talking to him. Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
You did, in fact, write to her after you were in West Virginia, professing your love for her and telling her that you were going to marry, because she says,
Yes.
based upon that...
I'm not lying to that. I won't lie, and it's
Fine.
true. It was stupid of me.
That would be a big mistake to lie.
Yeah, I agree.
So she says, based on that, she sold her furniture.
No, got rid of the furniture.
Or got rid of her furniture. She
She had no place
quit her
to put him
job.
anyhow. She was living at her mom's.
Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
She made certain changes in her lifestyle in contemplation of following up on what you said you were going to do in those letters. And then there came a time when you say that you found out
Yeah,
that he wasn't going to marry you.
Yeah, his mother told me New Year's Eve, and I wrote him a letter, which I have a return receipt that I asked him if we were still getting married. He called me up because he hates writing. Yes, babe, we're still getting married. Don't worry. You're going to be here in West Virginia. You won't have to worry about my mom. Then at the end of January, I get this letter from him canceling our wedding, and it's not because he was marrying Tina.
It's not.
Hi, glad to meet you. But he didn't even say he was marrying someone else. He was still
Why do
wouldn't
I
even
have to
admit he
ask
was
her?
going to
Okay.
marry someone
Why
else.
do I have to ask her if I can marry someone?
He went to find a new life. Instead, he found a new wife. And Beverly Mullen isn't happy. Judge Judy will return in a moment. Beverly Mullen and Daniel Paiva were planning to marry. He got married, but it was to someone else. Now, Beverly says she paid for another woman's ring, and she wants the money back.
What is it that you are suing him for?
What I'm suing him for is he promised to give me half of, I received the first half of his income tax. The second check that comes in, I was supposed to get $500 from him for that half. For the 8.5 years we've been together, we've split his income tax in half.
Just a second. For 8.5 years, now you said that you were on welfare for most of that time. Is that right?
Yes, and welfare knew about all this.
Just a second. If you were on welfare for most of that time, was welfare paying the rent on your house?
Yes, and I was working part-time also, and they knew about that as well as me going to school, getting my AA
All right,
degree.
and you were living there.
Yes.
So, Mr. Paiva.
My son and I.
Your son. Both of you were living there.
Yes.
And you were working and not earning a lot of money because according to your answer, sir, my memory is correct, you said you were finally working yourself up because you finally had a job where you were earning $12 an hour.
Well, I'd go up and then back down, and then finally found me a job that would put me up, yeah. It wasn't
Well,
that much,
I mean,
of
we're not
course.
talking about high living on $12 an
No,
hour,
it wasn't.
sir.
That's why
So
we
that-
both needed to work, not her sit. I'm sorry, but that's why we both needed to work.
You,
And she
you're not
decided she didn't
following
wanna
my
work.
drift, Mr. Paiva.
Yes.
My drift is that for probably a substantial portion of that 9 years, one way or another, you shared in the welfare that she was getting, both
No.
you and your son.
She didn't get enough.
She may not have gotten enough, but she got enough to cover the rent.
Half of the rent. Half of the rent.
And who paid
And
the
then
other half?
part of the, I did. Plus, I had a little bit more money coming in than there, of course.
Excuse me, please.
Who are you?
I'm her mother, and his mother also, acting as his mother also. For 7 years, they lived at my house.
Not 7 years.
Hey, you are very rude.
I'm sorry, but
Yes.
However long it was, because I'm not going to dispute the years, it is not correct that she paid half the rent and he paid half the rent. I never received a penny from him. However,
Oh,
the
yes, you
rent
did.
was, excuse me,
she sure
the
did.
rent was reasonable enough and Beverly paid it.
From
she
welfare?
paid it to me, yes.
From welfare?
Yes.
Okay. Listen, I had a sense when I saw that in your answer that there was a problem with that, and that was probably at least one of the reasons why there was no marriage for this 9-year period. You could have a seat.
Thank you.
That was a number.
Look, you're not entitled to half his tax return if you weren't working. If you had no income during that period, you're not entitled to half his tax return. What's the next claim that you have?
Half of his storage payment that he owed me. When he first went to West Virginia to help his aunt out on the field, because she had a problem getting her crop in, I said,
Just tell me
go
about the
ahead, go."
storage.
So he told me, I'm running short. You go ahead, pay the storage, and I'll pay you my half. I said,
Did you tell
okay,
her that?
Daniel, I
No.
will.
Wait just a second. Look at me. Did you tell her that you
I'm
would
sorry, I
pay?
should have looked at you. I don't.
Did you tell her that you would pay half the storage?
Well, yes. But I've been paying up until then.
Did you tell her that you would pay half the storage, sir, when you went to West Virginia? Jack!
Yeah.
So how much does he owe you for the storage?
$302.50.
Now, my question to you, Mr. Paiva, is you filed a counterclaim.
Yes, I did.
But in your answer, you say that really all you wanted to do was to go start a new life and be free of all these problems. But as long as I suppose you got served with her summons and complaint, you decided to counterclaim.
Yeah, she could help pay off those bills her and I made
Okay.
that are on my record.
Judge Judy will return in a moment. Beverly Mullen and Daniel Paiva were planning to marry. He got married, but it was to someone else. Now, Beverly says she paid for another woman's ring, and she wants the money back.
Let's deal with those bills that are on your record. What bills, sir? Don't take out that whole big envelope.
No,
here.
no.
I don't have that
Here's
much
our
time.
credit. Here's my credit, and you can, let's see, from the credit bureau.
Well, how do we know that those were bills when you were together?
Look at the dates.
That doesn't mean anything, Dan.
Those
Madam,
were made with us.
Madam, don't talk to him. Did he leave with any bills?
No, he sure as didn't, Your Honor.
What's this K Jewelers?
Okay, that's
Purchased $3,200.
That's our.
That's where we purchased our rings.
Just a
and I have
second.
all the receipts.
For.
Those are my credits.
Well,
His
then
is
why
the
am I
first
looking at
pages.
these things?
The first pages are his credit, which is all bad.
Sir, I can't tell from based on these what they're for. It just says that they were turned over for collection. The only thing that I was really
Is there
interested
any
in
dates on
your
that?
listen to me. The only thing that I'm interested in that you talk about in your counterclaim is this Chevy Impala that you say was sold for $600, and it was the car that the two of you shared, and she was supposed to give you half of it or $300.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, that's not true.
Well,
He had
just a second. Tell me about it.
The story behind that, I left her with the car. I had this raggedy old truck I drove. Okay, we split up, and she was talking about selling it, and she had told me, well, we'll split the money. But then she told me after a while, she says, I was talking to a friend, she never did state who it was, that she didn't have to give me half for whatever reasons.
What was the car in her name?
It was in my name.
It was in your name. So did you sign the pink slip?
Yes.
Your Honor.
Why did you sign the pink slip?
Because it was being sold. She says, I just wanted out. I just gave her I said, take the money.
You told her to take the money.
Yes.
Good.
But I figured,
Just a second.
Okay.
Just a second. He's not. Madam, why would you say he's lying? He just admitted to me that he told you, here's the pink slip, sell the car, take the money. Why would you say he's lying?
Because it makes it sound like he gave me the car. The thing was, he had a truck beforehand. He sold the truck for $1,000, bought a sports car. And then I told him, well, I'm going to sell this car, get a smaller gas mileage car, so that way I could drive to West Virginia. And he said, sure, go ahead and do it. In fact, I'll sign the pink slip. I said, great. That way there I don't have to have it transferred to West Virginia. And he said, go ahead and do
Our
it.
first conversation.
Whatever it doesn't matter.
Our first conversation was.
It doesn't matter, sir. You just acknowledged to me.
Yes.
You told her to take the money.
I took for granted. I said, well, she can take it.
Listen, you owe $302 for the storage bill that you acknowledge that you owe her. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $302. Madam, say nothing.
He has a son, and I was an acting grandmother. That relationship was cut off. And I don't know what you can do, but I would like
to be able to see him
or talk to him or write to him or anything.
Well, let me tell you this. That requires this man being more of a person than, quite frankly, I think he is.
I'll ask him. There's a man in me. I'll ask him if he wants.
Write to him at his address. If he's a human being, he will deliver your letters, and the boy will answer you. That's all.
Thank you.
Party's excused. Step out, please. Come back to you.
Well, I still think I should have gotten the $500 because he did promise it to me.
He wrote a letter to the judge also expressing his treatment from the plaintiff and her mother and the whole entire family.
Danny, listen to me. When you left, I told you I'd always be there. You may not want to see me or you may not get my message. When you turn 18, I'll be at the same address as I am now. Please write me. I will go and get you.
And now, the next case.
Parties on Hart. Step forward, please. All parties on Hart.
Dean and Stewart were close brothers until Dean gave Stewart a loan. Stewart says the interest was so high that his brother should be in the mob. Dean says he made a deal he should have refused.
Your Honor, this is number 28 on the calendar in the matter of Hart versus Hart.
Mr. Bird.
You may be seated.
Dean Hart,
Yes.
Stuart Hart.
Yes, ma'am.
Brothers.
Yes, ma'am.
Will the older one raise hand? No.
How about the bigger one?
You're the bigger one. You got into some trouble. You needed some money for the Internal Revenue Service.
Right.
According to
The old IRS.
complaint. So you went to your older brother,
Right.
said, I need $1,500.
Right. That's correct.
And you said,
I said I would loan it to him, but he had to pay it back.
you also said he had to pay you interest.
No, he said that he would pay the interest.
How
Well,
much
there's a
interest?
question of interest. There's interest and then there's scalping.
Well, I sort of found that interesting in your complaint, sir. You said
found the
that you were
interest
charging
interesting?
him how much interest?
$100 per week,
On $1,500.
as he offered. I merely accepted, Your Honor.
Did you offer to pay him $100
Well,
a
when
week?
you're backed into a corner, what are you going to do? So-
Well, tell me what happened when you asked for this money.
Well, I asked him to loan me the money based on the presumption that I would be getting a bonus from my work in about a month's time. I thought the interest was agreeable based on the 1 month period.
Who suggested the $100 a week interest?
I did. Because I thought the duration of the interest would only be for the 1 month period.
But you offered.
Your Honor.
Why did you offer?
Well, because the duration for the 4 week period, I figured being it's a money loan, I didn't feel the interest was exorbitant. But when you think about $1,300 interest on a $1,500 loan, I could have went out to the streets and got a better deal than what I got from my own skin and blood. Your Honor.
Yeah.
I loaned him the money in good faith. I helped him out, as I've helped him out many times before. He suggested the interest rate. I merely agreed to it. I had him sign a contract. Yes, don't kick me while I'm down, for Pete's sake.
Stuart, I want to know.
I have a contract that I wrote up that I had him sign, that I told him at the time that if he didn't repay me the money, that I would take him to court.
Well, have you ever lent him money before when he didn't pay you back?
Be honest, no. No.
Do you like each other, generally like each other, historically like each other?
No comment.
Do you, well, let's go back. Do you love each other?
Well, we're brothers. We're brothers. I mean, there's the typical sibling rivalry. I'll leave it at that.
Why was there sibling rivalry?
Well,
at
we're
your
very
age?
close in age, and we're pretty competitive growing up, you know. And of course, Big Brother has wielded the hand since we've grown up. So I think it's just another case of Big Brother trying to take advantage of Little Brother when he's down and needs a hand.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Why didn't you pay him back the money when you were supposed to after a month?
Because what happened, my company extended the bonus period through October, and I called him and told him, and it was right after I called him and told him that it had been extended.
When you say extended the bonus period,
we
you
were
were due
supposed
to
to
get
originally
some
get our bonuses on the 22nd of September. Okay. We're in the middle of a reorganization with a larger company, okay, which I'm not allowed to say. But when they came in and took control, the bonuses were delayed through October. I mean, we're talking a period of a couple weeks. You know.
Where'd you get this money from, the $1,500?
I took it out of on my credit card.
Okay, and you paid some interest on that?
Yes, I did.
How much interest did you pay on your credit card?
About Be honest. $100.
Okay, very easy. Listen, you shouldn't charge your brother $100 a week interest.
He offered, Your
I know
Honor.
he offered. Big Brother should have said, listen, Stuart, pay me back the money in 4 weeks.
I want to
And if
add something here.
took-
I want to add something here, Your Honor.
Just a
I worked
second.
for this man for 8 years, okay? Made this man a lot of money. I mean, we're talking some big dinero, okay?
Stuart, Stuart, it looks like you're winning. Why don't you be quiet? I'm telling you, looks like you're winning. He took the money out on his credit card. He said he paid about $100 on the interest on that money since he's lent it to you. I think when he asked you to borrow money, Dean, you should have said, listen, if you're in a bind, you need some money, I'm prepared to help you out just as long as it doesn't cost me anything. That's what a nice brother would do. So there's got to be some more history there.
He's
Listen!
never been nice in his whole life.
Stuart, I wouldn't yell at him now because you may need him again.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You may need him again. Anyway, it doesn't look like you hate each other. It just looks like you got into a tiff, and I don't want to exacerbate it. I don't want you to be out any money, out of pocket money. I don't think that that's fair, and I don't think that you think that that's fair either.
No, I only want to be treated fairly.
Okay, well, that's what I'm here for. It's my middle name, Fair.
Okay.
So you loaned him $1,500. It cost you about $100 in interest over the period because you took the money out on your credit card. So the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600.
But, Your Honor,
Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy continues in a... When Melvin Kiley first met LaRae Bryant, they had an attraction that almost proved fatal. LaRae says he attacked her. Melvin says she attacked him and ran up his phone bill with psychic hotline charges.
Order. All rise. Order. All rise, please. Quiet. Your Honor, this is case number 68 on the calendar in the matter of Kiley versus Bryant. You may be seated.
Sir, I really don't understand what you want. I read your complaint, and it's sending me a bunch of mixed messages. I don't know whether you want this lady back as your girlfriend, or whether you want to sue her for this $400 and some odd that you say she owes you for what I can't quite figure out. So why don't you tell me what it is that you want?
I'd really love to have her back.
But I can't do that for you, sir.
Well, at least pay back for some of the phone bills that she rang up.
So you either want her back or you want her to pay the phone bill.
Right.
Why did she leave you in the first place?
We kind of had a blowout one night.
Tell me about that.
So I have a copy of the police report here.
Tell me about it.
Well, we're sitting there. I was in bed and woke up about 2:30 in the morning. She was sitting in the living room with the TV on, smoking and drinking beer. And we had to get up to work the next morning.
So?
Oh, and all of a sudden I tried to get her to relax and go to bed, and all of a sudden...
What did you say to her to get her to relax and go to bed?
Let's go to bed. We got to go up and get work the next morning.
Yeah?
And next thing I knew, all heck broke loose.
Tell me about that.
We started hollering, hitting, kicking.
Who was doing that?
We were both hitting and punching each other.
Had you done that before?
No.
This was the first time?
It's the first time I ever struck somebody that I really cared for.
Is that true?
No.
Tell me about that evening.
Okay, what happened is I'm nervous, so I'm going to look at you so I can read your lips. And he asked me about sex, and I said no. And I think he was upset. And then I was talking to my sister, and he was passed out in the front room, living room.
That's not quite true, Cupcake.
You're
That
lying.
was a
Kylie,
different time.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
Let her finish.
And so he woke up from being passed out, and I talked to my sister on the phone, hanged up, and
You use a hearing aid according to
yes.
your answer.
Mm-hmm. And next thing I knew, he went like that, grabbed me, threw me on the floor, and the rest is. I fought for. He ripped my dress. I tore his shirt because he was choking me. I went up going to the doctor because my neck and arm. I lost my job.
Said that you were. It says here that you were arrested that night.
Yeah.
What happened to cause you to be arrested?
I didn't have my hearing aid. They would not give back my hearing aid. I was in hysterics because this man, I turned him down for sex. He asked me a second time, and I said no.
How did the police get there?
I have no idea.
How did the police get there, sir?
I have 911 automatically and on my answering machine. And while she was kicking me around there, I guess the phone tipped over and somehow the 911 button hit.
How long have you been together?
Off and on for 3 months.
So this was a short-term arrangement. So the 911 went off, the police came, and they arrested you?
Right. I could not understand. I was in hysterics because he tried to rape me. I am finished.
How come she was arrested, sir? Did you file a complaint against her?
When, according to the police report...
No, don't tell me the police report. The police report comes from you.
When he showed up, he was a witness of her hitting on me.
Did you complain, sir, that she had assaulted you? Is that what happened?
No.
So then why was she arrested?
I just told him that I just want her out of there.
And you say your hearing aid was lost?
I was in hysterics because I just got through fighting this person off.
We picked it up and gave it back to you,
I was
and
in
I
hysterics. I was looking
found the
down
battery
for my
you, and the
stuff. He
police
threw all
put
my
it in.
stuff out. I could not understand. I was in hysterics. I was scared and frightened. It was this person. This person has threatened me 4 times.
Okay, so you were arrested and you were taken to
I must
jail.
have a twin.
Okay, you were arrested and you were taken to jail.
Yes.
But then you were released.
Yes.
Charges were dropped?
Not guilty.
No.
I have a attorney right now who's fighting the charges.
Okay, so it hasn't been resolved
Because there's more
yet.
to this. That's why.
It hasn't been resolved yet.
Nope.
The criminal case.
That's coming up Thursday the 7th.
And what you are suing for today, sir, is for some telephone bill. Because clearly this lady
And
doesn't
rent.
want you back, right?
I'm scared.
So forget back. She doesn't want you back. So
No
now
more.
let's talk about the money.
No more cupcakes.
Okay, let's go.
Order. Order.
What money do you say she owes you, sir?
Well, phone bill from running up, phone bill and rent and part utilities that she claimed we lived together.
Just a second. Did you have an agreement, a lease?
Yes.
What was your
Well,
agreement?
for a verbal agreement, she was going to pay half the utilities
Yes.
and half the rent.
What phone bill was this about?
About $113 is a phone bill from calling the psychic line and joining a club, psychic club, which adds $10 a month to my phone bill
Did you
until
do
I
that?
get it canceled.
I called on the phone. The money that I gave him was supposed to go for the phone bill and food. I did not say I was going to stay to live there. He asked me to stay there. I was not living there. I was still paying rent at my mom and dad's.
Listen to me.
You had half your clothes there, too.
Listen to me. You were there for 3 months. Did you call this psychic hotline?
Yes, I did.
Do you know how much you spent?
No, I don't.
You think that you owe him this money for the psychic hotline?
No, I don't, Your Honor, to be honest.
Tell me why.
Because the man has threatened me. He has attempted to rape me. He has slapped me 4 times, and the 5th time I had enough.
Well, that matter will be resolved, I assume, in the criminal court.
I hope
Correct?
so. Mm-hmm.
What we're here to talk about today is money that you say she owes you. Do you have a copy of your phone bill, sir, for the
Yes, I
psychic
do.
hotline? Can I see it, please? You didn't call the psychic hotline, did you?
I know.
Don't look to me like the type
she's
of guy
enough
that would call.
psychic for me.
You sent her flowers, though, after this incident, according to you. See enclosed card. Says, I miss being together. I miss your smile. I miss you and always will. I'm sorry for what I did to you. I'll always think of you. Love, Mel.
Sounds about right.
So.
The case of assault, battery, and psychic hotline charges continues in a moment.
She looks as if she has sort of a fragile personality.
Yeah, but get her a little snockered and half mad, and I'd give Hulk Hogan about 10 minutes.
When Melvin Kiley first met LaRae Bryant, they had an attraction that almost proved fatal. LaRae says he attacked her. Melvin says she attacked him and ran up his phone bill with psychic hotline charges.
Mel, what did you apologize for? What did you apologize in that note for?
Well, for letting it go like it did happen that night. I admit that I was at least 50% wrong.
And you know she has a disability.
Right,
She has a hearing disability.
right.
And she looks as if she has sort of a fragile personality.
Yeah, but get her a little snockered and half mad, and I'd give Hulk Hogan about 10 minutes. Maybe him, maybe 15.
That's not true.
Well, that's possible. So it sounds to me like you two people don't belong together. And you have this phone bill of $113.37. Did you pay him for that?
No.
So I suggest that you're going to pay him $113.37, say goodbye to each other. Hopefully your criminal matter will be resolved satisfactorily. You look like a nice lady. Sounds to me as if something terrible happened. I want you to go home and do a little soul searching, sir. You say to me today that you were at least 50% responsible for what happened that night. I assume that when you go to court on Thursday in the criminal court, you're going to tell the prosecutor there that you were at least 50% responsible for what happened that night, so that the right thing will happen, too, in the criminal proceeding. I assume you're going to do that, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $113.37. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. Step out.
My reaction is I'm scared to death of this person. I was abused 4 times leading up to attempted rape and everything else, and I'm scared of this person. And he has also threatened to blow my brains out, too.
I think she's brainwashed her. Smoking has clogged her brain or
You're
something.
lying. He's lying.
Well, I'll save money on flowers.
And now, the next case.
Parties on. Amin versus Pena. Step forward, please.
Mary Amin and Nick Pandya went to Las Vegas. When Nick gambled and lost, Mary reluctantly gave him cash. When he paid her back with a bad check, she said no deal.
A weekend in Vegas.
Order.
You went to Las Vegas with a group of people?
No.
And he was one of them?
A group?
Several people.
He gave his friend a lift to Las Vegas.
So
but
there were
was
3
no
of you?
group.
There were 3 of you?
On the trip, yes.
Okay.
On the ride over.
And you say that he lost all of his money?
He lost all of his money.
So what happened?
He came to me and said, I lost all of my money and I need more money. And I said, get your ATM card and go get money. He said, well, my magnetic strip, it was broken or it doesn't work or whatever. And so I've ordered a new one and the bank is issuing me a new one. And he said, but I don't have any more money and I've maxed out my credit cards. And I said, well, write a check. There's a cashier if you need more money. Well, I didn't bring my checkbook. And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you because, you know, you're done with your money, you don't go. If I spend my money, I don't spend any more money. He said, well, I have funds available in my account. And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. Go use your credit card. Do what, if you want to gamble, you have to have money. And he said, well, I don't have any more credit cards. I can't get any more cash. I've exhausted all of my credit cards, but I have funds in my account at the Bank of America. And he said, can I get some money from you? And I said, I don't have any money to give you. I brought $100 with me. I got $100 out of my ATM. That's my maximum. $200-300 is all I ever spend. I know what my limit is. Well, let me borrow some money. I don't have any money. I don't have any money to loan.
Were you friends or were you dating or?
We were dating for close to a month, probably several weeks, close to a month, and he was supposed to be my boyfriend. I mean, we always dated. We had a good time. We went out, you know, and I thought he was.
So you finally did what?
So I got my old ATM card out, and he promised me just a couple $100, I'll pay you back. I have the funds in my account. As soon as we get back to Orange County, I will write you a check. I have the money. And then he went through that money, and and it's like, I don't have money to loan you. I don't have money to loan you. And he said, it's not a loan. The money's going to be right back there just as soon as we get back.
So you lent him $900, according to you.
$900.
Did he write you a check for it?
He did write me a check, Your Honor.
When did he write you the check?
He wrote the check after we got back. Not the same night, but the following night I went and we spent the night, we were together, and he wrote me a check in the morning, and I have it.
I see it?
Yes.
Mary and Nick and a gambling debt continues in a moment. Mary Amin and Nick Pandya went to Las Vegas. When Nick gambled and lost, Mary reluctantly gave him cash. When he paid her back with a bad check, she said no deal.
So what happened with this check when you deposited it?
I deposited the check into my account. I thought everything was fine. He was still my boyfriend. We were still seeing each other. I called my credit union where I keep my checking account on the 16th of August to check my balance. I almost had a heart attack. There was no money in my account, and I asked for, some information, and they said there was a check for $900 dishonored. Twice.
Okay, your side of the story.
Well, we went there. We spent the weekend. I never asked her for any money. She had her ATM card. I had about $1,400 that I gambled with. I lost, and I had stopped. She wanted to go out, spend the evening outside. I told her I don't have any more money, and she was the one who offered it. I did not ask her for any money. I did not borrow any money from her. On the way back to Orange County, she told me that she had spent her rent money and if I would help her. I was expecting some funds. I told her I would try and help her. The minute my funds did not materialize, I put a stop payment on the check. In the meantime, the check had gone through because my other checks had bounced. I did not have any money, after which she started calling me up, harassing me at all odd hours of the night.
Just a second, let me understand this, sir. You're telling me that you never borrowed any money from her,
That's true.
that she went through all of her money,
Right.
and that you said that you would help her out because she spent all of her rent money.
Right.
And that's really what this $900 check was for.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, all right. And then you said that you had no more money in the account because
Right.
this check was honored.
Dishonored.
Dishonored?
Right. Because
Well, why? How could you help her out, sir, if you were giving her a bad check?
No, because I had some monies coming in. I had my paycheck that was supposed to have gone in. I had money that I had taken from a friend of mine who owed me money. I had some monies that had come in, and I was expecting those funds to clear.
Let me see your bank statement.
I don't have my bank statements, Your Honor.
Well, wouldn't that be important, sir, if you wanted to tell me a story about having so much money in the bank and you had sufficient funds in your ATM to cover all your expenses when you were on Las Vegas? Wouldn't it strike you that your bank statement might have been important to bring today?
Well, I didn't know what all was needed. And basically, I came to tell the truth the way it was.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned.
I still don't understand, sir, if you were boyfriend and girlfriend and you gave her a check, you just also told me that you stopped payment on the check.
Yeah, I stopped payment on the check.
Well, why would you stop payment on a check that you gave your girlfriend to help her out?
The reason was because I did not have any more funds to give her, and she was harassing me at all times of the night.
Why was she harassing you?
She was claiming that I owed her the money, and why wasn't I willing to help her?
Just a second. She deposited the check that you gave her immediately. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
When did you put a stop payment on the check? A day later, 2 days later, 3 days later?
About 4 days later.
I don't think so. Never.
About 4 days later, because the check that had been given to me by my friend had bounced, and I was not left with any money. That's the reason I had put a stop payment on the check.
And did you tell her immediately that you put a stop payment on the check?
Yes, I did.
Sir, I have to make a decision, quite frankly, today, based upon two divergent stories. Your story does not have a ring of truth to it. Now, I may be wrong. I was wrong in 1947, that I can remember. But I don't think I'm wrong about this. This lady lent you money, $900. You promised to pay her back. You gave her a bad check. And then he proceeded to make up this story about this lady losing all of her money, and you were helping her out. I think that your story is a lot of baloney. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. Thank you.
Your
That's
Honor.
all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
All parties on Hannah.
Lisa Hanna says she was evicted from her in-laws' house after her marriage to their son came apart. Michael and Jean Hanna say their daughter-in-law left with everything but the kitchen sink, and they want their stuff back.
Order. All rise. Order. Judge, this is case number 79 on the calendar in the matter of Hanna.
Thanks, Bird.
You may
The
be seated.
battling Hannas. I read your complaint, your answer, your suit, your countersuit, your suit against you. You're the ex-husband? Your answer to the suit. So we're going to try to do this in an orderly fashion and take these cases in some sort of reasonable progression. Mr. and Mrs. Hanna, this is your former daughter-in-law, or soon-to-be, I assume, your former daughter-in-law. You have a matrimonial case that's supposed to be heard sometime in 1997. Is that correct?
Yes.
You are suing your former daughter-in-law for a variety of things that you say she stole.
That's correct. That's correct.
Well, you want to tell me how this came about?
We rented our property to Mark and Lisa, our home.
Mark
in
is your
Huntington-
son?
Yes, in Huntington Beach. And we rented under the stipulation that in the event of a split up, that both parties would have to move out of the property. This was so we wouldn't take sides with either one.
They have children together.
Yes, they do.
Two.
How
old are they?
They're 6 and 3.
Go ahead.
Mark served notice and gave his notice to move out of the property. They were splitting up. We told him that Lisa would have to move out by May the 31st or June the 1st. About halfway through the month, Mark called us, said that they were having money problems, getting enough money to get an apartment for the kids. So we told him we'd extend it for 30 days. She would definitely have to be out on June the 1st.
Did you ever tell that to her?
Yes.
Personally, not through your son?
No, we told both parties, and we told her, yes.
When did you tell her?
When they moved in, and then during the split up in May, we went over to the property with our realtor, expecting and talked to her then, told her that June 1st was the limit on it.
Are you telling me, sir, that it wasn't until the middle of May that you told her personally that she had to move out by the end?
We told her when Mark gave notice.
So now what about this stolen property? Before I start to ask you some questions, Mr. Hanna.
On June the 2nd, when I served the papers, the garage door was open. Everything was in the garage then, the washer, the dryer, refrigerator, file cabinet, and that was everything that I could see in the garage. In the house, we couldn't check it. I do know that it was there on May the 10th when we went through the property. When we came back to take possession on the property, approximately July the 14th, July the 14th, we came by, the garage door was open, everything's cleared out. Washer, dryer, refrigerator, file cabinet, and everything else in the garage was gone. We asked Lisa, we met with Lisa, we asked her what happened to the property, where it was at. She said that the house was broken into and all of our stuff was stolen. We at that time asked her if she had filed a police report. She said yes. We asked her to see a copy. We said we'd need a copy in order to turn it into our homeowner's insurance and get compensation for it. She refused to give us a copy of the police report, so we at that time went to the Huntington Beach Police Department. We had the police department pull up all of the records on that property for police calls. Nothing showed up in that as far as the burglary.
How could you evict her and your grandchildren, knowing that your son was not contributing to the support of his children?
Lisa Hanna's in-laws threw her and her kids out of the house when the marriage to their son busted. Michael and Jean Hanna say she stole stuff. She says not.
So what you're missing is a washer, a dryer, and a file cabinet?
No, we're missing our, here's a complete list. We're missing the security system. This is a night security system, 24-hour monitor. Heat sensors for the house, smoke detectors. She took the drapes, rods out of the 3 upstairs bedrooms. Let's see, she took the oak towel racks, all bathroom fixtures, actually pulled the vanity off of the wall in the bathroom. She took the microwave, desk, chair, switch plates off of the walls, all of the electrical switch plates, they were gone.
Lisa, tell me your side of the story.
Well, during the whole time that I lived in that home, these people had a garage remote to the garage, and they had access to the house.
Now, madam, she was very polite.
Yes.
During the month of May is when Mark abandoned us and took almost all the belongings out of the home. We came home on May 2nd.
What kind of belongings? The belongings that you're talking about, the belongings that are on this list?
Belongings.
Can I see the list, please? Go ahead.
Clothing, food, toys, my bicycles, the kids'
I don't think that they're complaining about these things. We're going to get to the
When
suit
he-
with regard to your soon-to-be ex-husband in a minute.
Well, when we came home, that the garage door and the lights were on, the doors were open, and all these belongings to the house. The only things that were left were the couch, the VCR, a kitchen table, my bed, and a dresser, and my son's bedroom set. I went away in Palm Springs and came back, and that's what I came home to, was no refrigerator in the garage, and there was no breaking in type of entry to the home, and that's when I learned that the Hannas had a remote control to the garage.
All right. So now I have a couple of questions for you. I was sort of shocked when I read the complaint, quite frankly. She was living there with your two grandchildren, and what I don't understand is why you evicted her.
Because she was not going to pay rent. We asked her to pay rent on June the 2nd.
Was she working?
We gave her, yes, she was. She was working full-time.
Mm-hmm. And was your son helping with the support of his children when he left?
When he left, yes. He was the one that made the final rent payment.
No,
and told
after
her,
he left.
After he left.
Was he paying any support?
He has not paid any support.
He's been off disabled. He was in an accident, and he is still disabled.
Well, Mr. Hanna, how could you evict her and your grandchildren, knowing that your son was not contributing to the support of his children?
Because we had told both of them, we even told Lisa that our grandkids will not suffer. We will make sure that if they have to, they can come live with us until you get on your feet.
Well, just a minute.
Without me.
That sounds as if you're trying to gain an advantage by his not supporting the children. That doesn't sound quite fair to me. And that's, that was distressing to me when I read this complaint. If you want her to get on her feet, then you say, live in my property rent-free until you get on your feet.
Financially, we couldn't support her any longer. We had helped financially the whole time they were married. The payments on our home that we were making for them to live in, we sacrificed. Our payments on the home was over $1,700 a month. We let them live there for $920 a month to help them to get on their feet. She wouldn't quit her spending. We cannot physically support her for the rest of our lives.
What do you mean she wouldn't quit her spending? How much did
she would?
Just
compulsive spending.
How much were you earning at the time?
I make $14 an hour, and I had a huge mass growing in my abdomen and had to have a surgery in February, and I came home to recover and discovered many phone calls from creditors that the bills were not being paid, and that's why we split up.
Listen to me. We'll get to that in the second lawsuit. All right. Do you have any proof that she took this property?
It was left in her possession. We know it was there on the 2nd of June. It was total vengeance.
No. Well, just a second.
Retaliation.
Well, that's supposition at this point. Do you have any proof? You had access to the house, correct?
No, we did not.
How'd you get in to have
We did not.
Just a second. How did you? No, I didn't say you went into the house. I asked you if you had access to the house.
No, we did not.
Did anyone have a key to the inside of the house?
Not to my knowledge.
Can you get into the house through the garage? Can you get into the house through the garage?
Yes, you can, but you did not have the remote.
Who had the remote?
I had one and they had one.
No, Mark had the other.
So that, just one second, so that Mark had access to the house as well with the remote. Is that correct?
To my knowledge,
yes. Yes.
Did you have a remote for the garage?
Yes, I did.
Did you take any property from the house?
The only thing I took was my personal belongings, my clothing, a television, and a VCR.
Do my underwear fit good on you, Mark?
We're talking about this property.
This property. He
now.
took all of that. all of my clothing. And
Okay. So as far as I know, there are now two people that both deny that they took any property from the house, either from the garage or from the inside of the house. And two people who had access to that property and no witnesses.
all I have is received harassment from this man and the family, and I want peace.
Lisa Hanna's in-laws threw her and her kids out of the house when the marriage to their son busted. Michael and Jean Hanna say she stole stuff. She says not.
We're going to put this case aside for a moment because now I have a second suit by you against him. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you two have a seat, please? Sir, listen to me. You are the defendant in this lawsuit. So you stand over there. You come over here because...
Does my dad come over?
Well, he can sit there for a minute if I need him. All right. Mrs. Anna, you filed a lawsuit for something, and I don't know what, against your husband. Tell me why you're suing him, what you want the court to do.
I've filed for harassment. All I have is received harassment from this man and the family, and I want peace. I want my kids to be able to live in peace and not be jerked from one house to another. When I go to a place to pick my kids up, I'd expect him to be there and giving my kids in peace. I'm tired of it. My kids deserve peace, and they deserve security, and I'm just tired of it. I want freedom from all his harassment at my job. I have letters from physicians, from coworkers on the switchboard, him calling and threatening everybody, along with myself. I've got it all right here. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all of it. I'm tired of the mental stress, the physical. I'm tired of losing my wages. I work 2 jobs, day and night, to support and pay rent. I'm tired of it. I get nothing from this man, and my kids deserve.
How did your kids wind up with their father? They are living with him now.
He took them November 1st from Nicholas's new school. He just started a new school. He went there, took him.
Prior to November 1st, the children were living with you?
They were with me, yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
They were with her for 3 weeks, Your Honor. And ever since the divorce had started, she took the children to her.
You left the house in May.
Right.
And the children remained with her in May.
Right.
Now.
Until she left the house.
When she left the house, which was sometime in July, is that right?
Yes.
When you were evicted?
Yes.
What happened with the children?
They went with me to Escondido to a friend's.
Have the children been with your in-laws since the mid-August?
Early September, my son was going to be starting school, and they wanted to spend time with Nick before he started school. As much as there's animosity, it doesn't matter. The kids don't need to see that, and they have a right to see their grandparents, and I allowed it. From that point on.
So seeing their grandparents and living with their grandparents are two different things. Now,
yes.
In September, did they go to stay with?
They stayed with Mike and Jeannie, I don't know, maybe 3 days, and then there was a death in their family, or a friend of theirs. So they were tied up, and then I learned that they let the kids go with him. I had no idea that he lived in Laguna Beach. I didn't know where. They were with him for some time.
So for the month of September, they were either living with your in-laws or with their father?
Yes, to my knowledge.
And the month of October, they were living with their father. Is that right?
To my knowledge, him or them.
Either one. They weren't living with you.
Or.
All right. Now, what happened in November?
We went to court, and I got them returned and put my son back in school.
But now they're with him.
November 1st, he took him out of Nicholas's brand new school that he was in.
My question to you, sir, is a simple one. Are you keeping the children now in violation of a court order?
The officer told me since
Don't tell me what the officer told you. The officer is not the appellate court for a family court judge. Lisa, be quiet.
No, because she broke the court order.
Well, I don't know when you're going to be going back to court, Mr. Hanna, but I'm telling you, if you don't think you're in violation... She's more than welcome to come and get them right now. If you don't think you're in violation of a court order by retaining the children after a period of visitation, I'm telling you that you are. Were the children living with you?
Are the children there?
Quiet. Were the children living with you for the last 2 weeks?
No. The children have been between Mark and us.
What do you mean? But step up, around there. What do you mean between Mark and you? Let's talk about this past weekend. Where are the children this past weekend?
With us.
Right. And where were the children? Last week was a school week. Where were the children last week during school? Make sure I get the right answer, which is the truth.
They were with Mark.
Monday through Friday, they were with Mark? Monday through Friday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday night
Thursday
was the
and
first
Friday,
night
we
they
stayed at my parents'.
Right.
And Mark took Nick daily from our home to Lake
All
Forest
right.
to school.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Stay tuned.
Listen to me. You folks are embroiled in a matrimonial case. And the one thing that you're losing sight of, all of you, I believe, is that there are only two innocents.
And we've tried to protect them, Your
Well,
Honor.
you know, sometimes grandparents interfere by trying to protect them. I have
Their
grandchildren.
well-being is what's
I have,
important to us.
well, their well-being, it may be important to you, but their well-being is not served if they have even one dysfunctional parent. The only time that children grow up strong is if they have two parents that are healthy. And it sounds to me, quite frankly, as if this side is not worried about this side's emotional well-being. And listen, you talked, now I'm talking. And these are my sense impressions that I am able to make after 24 years. You have to be supportive of both parents. You are only supportive of your son. You're not supportive of her. She's the mother of these children. He's the father of these children. And if the two of them are acting irresponsibly towards their children, both of them acting irresponsibly, then it's up to you to act responsibly for the children on behalf of both of their parents. You did the wrong thing when you evicted her. Absolutely the wrong thing. She was living there with your two grandchildren, and there's no question in my mind that in this relatively short period of time, there was a lot of jockeying for who was going to get custody of these children. And to financially strip her of the ability to take care of the children, you were putting your son in a superior position to have an order of custody awarded to him. Now, evicting your two grandchildren from the house, and I don't care if you had to go into debt in order not to do that, as far as I'm concerned, is an inhumane, heartless thing to do. That's just my opinion. We come down to your lawsuit. Lawsuit requires evidence. Nobody saw her remove the things from the house. Did she have a motive to be angry with you? Some of the things that you suggest that was done in the house suggest to me that the person who did those things by removing towel bars and by moving plates was angry. So did she have a motive? Yes. Did she have an inclination? In all probability. But she did not have sole access to the house. He also had access to the house. And without some proof that she was the one who took this property, I am dismissing your lawsuit. As far as your counterclaim is concerned, Lisa, I am also dismissing your lawsuit against him and whatever counterclaim you say you have against him. That action will be taken care of as part of your divorce decree. These children require stability, and the only way they're going to have it is if their two parents start acting responsibly. They have to live in one place, not sometimes in your house and sometimes in your house and sometimes in your house. If she has a court order of custody, you are obligated to comply with that court order of custody to the letter until it is modified.
Then why won't she take the children?
She's going to take the children. You want to make arrangements for that today?
Sure.
Fine. You have the children here in 3 hours. You can make the exchange right in my chambers. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Hannah. In the family battle that followed, Lisa hasn't seen her children for weeks. Now, Judge Judy tries to make things right.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is a recall of case number 79 in the matter of Hannah versus Hannah. Parties are reminded that you're still under oath. You may be seated.
Hi. What's your name?
Nick.
Nick? Could you bring your sister and come up here for a minute?
Come over this
Right
way.
up here.
Step right up there. Got it? Okay, watch out. There's another.
What's your sister's name, Nick?
Haley.
You're a very pretty girl. Yes, you are. Would you do a favor for me? Hmm? See my court officer here, this handsome fellow? You know what his name is? Bird.
Oh.
That's his name.
Bird, you must fly.
Would you wait outside, and Officer Bird is going to take you outside, right outside the courtroom, okay? Because I want to talk to your mom and dad. Is that all right with you? Nick?
What door do I go out of?
You just go with Bird.
All right.
Here, give me your hand. I'll help you up the chair. Okay, there you go.
Watch your step. Come on. This way. This way. Come on. Over here. We're going to go right through there.
I'll be fine, Bird.
Okay, Judge.
They are two adorable children.
Thank you.
You made two adorable children. You got some time between now and the time the Superior Court's going to rule on your divorce. I'm begging you. Don't make them the casualty of your mistakes. Do you know what I mean? These children should have the benefit of having both their parents.
I agree.
Do you understand that, Mrs. Hannah? It's really important. Mr. Hannah, right now, you are under a court order that provides that the children should be with Mrs. Hannah, and you will have regular visits with them.
She won't take the children. I've had them all but 3 weeks
Just a
since
second.
this divorce started.
Then you have what you have to do, Mr. Hannah, is you have to go back to the Superior Court
Done that.
and move for a change of the order pending your divorce. That's what you have to do. You cannot use self-help to do that. That's not what the law permits. So you have to do that. Are you prepared, Mrs. Hannah, to resume custody of your children?
I can't afford to do it all on my own. I do not get any help. I have no help. I'm working 2 jobs.
Now, I'm not talking to you about money. Okay. Because the money part of whatever your complaint is has to be resolved as part of your divorce judgment, which will be heard either in January of '97, which is your scheduled date, or before that, if you go back to court before that. What I want to know is, what's going to happen to these children between now and then? Are they going with you or not?
I want to work that out with Mark. If he would help, yes, I want them with me. If he could help.
Today, the children, Mrs. Hannah, are in court.
Yes.
He produced them here. Are the children going home with you today, or are they going home with their father today?
Oh, I'd like them to come home with me.
Are you prepared to take them home with you?
In my car? Yes.
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 I mean, you're prepared to take them. This has nothing to do with money. Mr. Hannah, you have a responsibility to help her financially with the children.
Your Honor, I'm on disability right now, and I haven't received any help from Lisa as well. I
Mr.
myself
Hannah,
had done without so that the kids don't have to do without.
Mr.
And it's
Hannah,
not
right
fair.
now...
Lisa says she has no money, yet she can afford a cellular phone and all these things. Why can't she do without some of the elegance, elegance of living to provide for the children?
Judge Judy puts 2 kids back where they belong with their mom. Back in a moment.
I've got to live too. I've got to provide a roof over my head as well.
Just a sec.
Lisa Hannah was thrown out with her kids by her in-laws, Michael and Jean Hannah. In the family battle that followed, Lisa hasn't seen her children for weeks. Now, Judge Judy tries to make things right.
I am not asking you to fully support your children, sir. Support of children rests with both parents.
I will do what the court ordered me to.
Which is what, sir?
$66 a month while I am in disability.
Mark, I don't want your money. I don't want your money.
How much disability do you get?
How much money do I get?
Yes, from disability.
$672 every 2 weeks.
So you get $1,200 or $1,300 a month.
And I'm supporting me and my 2 children on that.
Just a second. Right now, the children are going to be with their mother. So you will not be supporting you and the 2 children on that. You are going to be assisting in the support of the children. Now, that, what is it, $66 a month?
Absolutely.
That doesn't cut it, Mr. Hannah.
That's all I can afford. I've got to live too. I've got to provide a roof over my head as well.
Just a second. Mrs. Hannah, if the children are going to be with you, I suggest that tomorrow morning, bright and early, you call your job and ask them if you can take a day you go down to the local family court and you request an immediate upward modification of that award of $66 a month, because it's an outrageous award for the support of 2 children. It is in violation of the federal child support guidelines for 2 children, even on disability. So I suggest that you do that. Are you taking your children home with you?
Yes.
Now, that takes care of one issue.
Okay.
The next issue is these children should spend reasonable quality time with both parents, and that includes their father.
Your Honor, she won't tell me where the children are.
Just a second.
She won't tell me. She won't tell me their school, the babysitter. I can't contact the children.
Mr. Hanna, what I'm trying to do now, sir, what I'm trying to do today is put you beyond your anger of yesterday and try to...
Angered. I am just totally in disbelief that she gets up here and lies about all these things. And I've been there for the children. I've always been there for the children. I've never turned my back on them. And if they ever need anything, I will try my best that they won't do without.
Mr. Hanna, you don't seem to realize that it takes 2 people to make problems in a marriage. I'm not finding either one of you blameless, and I'm not getting into that right now, because both of you, I'm sure, made some serious mistakes during the course of your marriage. Right?
Yes.
All right. And, you know, people have long memories. When the marriage folds, people tend to remember only the terrible things about each other. The only good thing that came out of your marriage are 2 lovely children. And what I'm trying to do now, Mr. Hanna, without going back into history, is to persuade your wife to make sure that these children spend quality time with their father.
She's ready to rule. Lisa Hanna was thrown out with her kids by her in-laws, Michael and Jean Hanna. In the family battle that followed, Lisa hasn't seen her children for weeks. Now, Judge Judy tries to make things right.
He has an order of visitation which provides for visitation when, Mrs. Hanna?
Every odd weekend.
Well,
this weekend.
Excuse me?
Which is this weekend. I'm to pick them up Friday.
Fine. Mrs. Hanna, if I were the judge making an order of visitation for Mr. Hanna, I wouldn't make an order for every other weekend. I would have him see his children every weekend. But right now, that's the order until he gets it changed.
Tried.
Well, if you tried and you failed, I'm sorry. I think it's important for children to see both their parents every week. Every other week doesn't make a father. Every other week makes a visitor. And that's unfortunate. So I would, Mr. Hanna, in court, not outside of court, but in court, I would fight for that every weekend. And Mrs.
Mark, I'd give it to you.
Or 3 weekends so that Mrs. Hanna can spend 1 weekend with the kids if she wants to go away with them. If she's going to be working too, she should have a weekend, perhaps a month, to do some quality playtime with the kids. It's important for him to see his children. And if he's supposed to see his children this weekend, where do you want to pick up the children on Friday? Is there a neutral place?
That's the court order is, until we change it, he gets them from the school.
Well, you have plenty of time this week to go back and change it. And I suggest that tomorrow morning, perhaps you meet each other at the courthouse. Do you each have attorneys in your matrimonial action?
I am seeking a different attorney at this time.
Well, but you had an attorney. Before you change your attorney, I suggest you leave here, you call your attorneys, you say, we have to go to the courthouse tomorrow morning because we have to find a different spot to pick up and return the children that's more neutral. Meanwhile, children are going home with you today. I suggest you stay home with them tomorrow, make arrangements for them, and make arrangements to have your attorneys contact each other so that you can modify this order if it has to be modified at all. That's the order, Mr. Hanna. If you want it changed, you have to go through a court. You can't resort to self-help. Understood? That's all. Thank you.
What's the matter with my dad? I don't know.
I love you guys, and you guys be good for your mom, okay?
Dad, where's my stuff? My stuff's in there.
I love you, buddy. I'm sorry what's happening.
Quay Hampton, step forward, please, all parties.
Ajile Quay claims her sister, Sabura Quay Hampton, abused her credit card. But Sabura says it's really about her sister's attitude toward her new boyfriend.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 1 on the calendar in the matter of Quay versus Quay Hampton. You may be seated.
Sisters. Who's older?
I am.
Well, I'm going to be very anxious to hear what brings sisters to my courtroom.
Okay, my sister and I were very, very, very close since childhood. Like white on rice, wherever you saw me, you saw her. Wherever you saw her, you saw me. We would walk down the street, people would say, are you twins or whatever, you know. So when she needed a place to stay, I would say maybe October or September, October of last year. I was all for it. She needed a place to stay. That's my sister. I love her. I was with it, you know. So basically, we lived together.
Who else lived in your house?
It was herself, and it was my nephew, who was about 4 years old, her son. So it was the three of us living in my apartment. Like I said, she needed a place to stay. Winter was coming. We live in New York, and she didn't have a coat, or she felt that her coat that she had wasn't adequate enough for the winter. So she asked me if she could borrow my credit card to purchase a coat. And I let her borrow it on the basis that she only buy the coat, only the coat, and that she would pay me back the money. She asked to continue to hold the card because she was going to make the payments directly to the store where she purchased it from, and you need the card. If she was going to write a check, she would need the card because all the information is on the statement. But she was going to go there directly, and she was going to pay. So I let her hold the card. She met this guy, and I would say about the summertime, early summer. And ever since then, everything went downhill. She was being disrespectful. She was disrespecting my house. She was cursing me out at the drop of a dime. She was just totally just
because you was trying to run my life.
No, you were. No, I was not. That's not true.
Well, I gather you didn't like this new boyfriend.
No, it had
That's
nothing to do.
that's
It had
what it all
nothing to do
boils
with the
down
boyfriend. It had nothing to do with the boyfriend.
All right.
That was
It
totally
was
separate.
his influence, as you saw it
His
on her.
influence, right.
Okay.
Like I said, it got to a point where she was just being totally disrespectful, and I asked her to leave my home. And that wasn't a pretty sight. She left angry. I was upset because how I was treated.
How did she treat you?
She cursed, well, actually, she cursed me out. She called me every name in the book but a sister. After I took her in, took her son in, took her in, put up with her for a long time.
Take a deep breath. So then you got a bill.
So after she left, I got a bill in the mail for $779.
Can I see, please?
And
I was told using the card.
That's a lie.
You knew I was using the card because I was coming in every day with bags.
Okay. Now here
And
we go.
you know it
was on my credit, though.
And you was wearing the clothes that I bought in the house. You
Miss
knew.
Hampton, she's told me your story. She said that you used her credit card and her new bill was $779.
Actually, Judge, it's $910 because I called Structure for that bill and I told them that I was not paying that bill because those are not my charges. And they then told me that it was for $910.
Miss Hampton, you don't deny that you used the card for more than just the purchase of a hat and coat.
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I paid the coat bill. I paid the whole bill in full. After that, I asked her if I could use the card to get more things on the card. I asked her if I could use it, and she said, on the terms that I pay her bill on time, okay, make my timely payments. I made those timely payments, and I got her credit boosted $200. She knew I was using the card. She saw me coming in with bags.
When was the last, well, don't tell me what she saw. When was the last time you made a payment on this card?
The last time I made a payment on the card was approximately July. I believe it was July.
Well,
it was June.
Then June. Well, I said approximately.
So, now let me ask you this question. Everything was okay with your sister for a long time. She took you into her house?
Yes.
She took your son into your house?
Yes.
Were you working at the time?
Yes.
Were you paying expenses in the house?
Yes, she charged me rent.
How much rent did she charge you?
$150 every 2 weeks.
So that's $300.
That's a lie. It was $150 every month.
Well, every month. I forgot.
That's nothing considering
I forgot.
What
so
I
it's been a while. I forgot.
So $150 a month. That's pretty reasonable rent.
I would contribute towards the telephone bill because I use the telephone.
Sometimes.
And food. Every time we went food shopping, I gave half.
Sometimes.
All the time.
Okay. And did she ever babysit for your son for you when you wanted to go out?
Yes, she did.
Oh, you had a new boyfriend, so that would be a couple of times a week she would babysit for your son?
Yes, she did.
So she was a pretty good older sister.
Yes, she was.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
To me, as if he makes children very rapidly at his age. He's got a six-month-old. He's got a six-month-old child. Not all men.
That's their job. That's why God put men on this earth and women.
Woo!
Ajile Kwe claims her sister, Sabura Kwe Hampton, abused her credit card. But Sabura says it's really about her sister's attitude toward her new boyfriend.
Well, what do you think the problem was?
The problem, it all boils down to the fact that she doesn't like my boyfriend and she's trying to run my life, okay? I'm 20 years old. I can do what I want to do, whether I'm in her house or not, okay? And I don't even know why I'm here, okay? Because if George would have never came on the scene as my boyfriend, we would have still been cool, we would have still been close, and she wouldn't even, I wouldn't
Why do
be
you
standing
think
here.
she says that you disrespected her house?
Well, we did have arguments. She cursed at me, I cursed at her.
Why do we
did
have the arguments, though?
Why do we
No,
have the
talk
arguments?
to me. What, other than the cursing, was there any other disrespect to your house?
She would bring this man to my house.
This is the boyfriend.
That's him. She would bring him to my house. Let me just explain. I lived there. The night, just show you how close he was. Me and my girlfriends were hanging out one night, and I invited her to come. That's the fatal night, God forbid, that she met George. If I'd have known she'd have met this man, and this would have boiled down to this, I swear I would have never have invited her out with me.
How many times a week would you babysit for her after she met George? You're George, right?
Yes.
It wasn't that, I would say maybe once or twice. It wasn't that often because she was being...
Once or twice a week?
Once or twice a week. She was not doing the right thing, and she would leave her son with whoever would want to watch him over this man.
No, she wouldn't.
Oh, that's a lie. Yes, it is.
No,
No, it's not a lie.
No, she
You are
wouldn't.
crazy, okay?
Because if my son was not with her, my son was with my grandmother, okay? You're lying.
Miss
All right? I
Hampton,
don't drop my son with
Miss
anybody. I
Hampton,
wouldn't drop him.
Miss Hampton, listen to me. Sounds to me as if your sister was a pretty good sister to you. You're 20 years old?
Yes, I am.
How old are you?
23.
You made a few mistakes in your life so far?
Yes.
You're trying to get your life back on track?
Yes, I am.
What do you do for a living, George?
I work.
For whom?
A company.
What kind of work do you do?
Like stock, sales clerk, all types of things.
Are you really sincerely interested in her?
Yes.
You ever been married?
No.
You have any children?
2.
How old are your children?
One is 3, and I have a son. I have a daughter that's 3 and a son that's about 6 months.
Son who's 6 months?
Yeah.
They don't live with you?
No.
Do you support them?
Yes.
How much?
Whatever I can is whatever.
You don't make a lot of money as working as a stock person.
Somewhat. I'm saying I'm wealthy. I'm all right.
You wealthy?
Not wealthy, but I'm saying I'm okay.
Stand up over here.
He's okay because she supports him. And
She does not support me. No,
On my
she does
credit
not.
card, I have the
No, she
statements
does
that says she
not.
bought stuff from Structure. Ties? Since when do women wear men's ties?
Yeah, I did buy
from
him a tie.
Structure?
I did buy him
You
a
bought
tie.
him ties on my credit
I
card,
did.
and you bought
And
him
I did.
jeans.
Oh, listen,
and-
ladies.
and I
Oh,
paid
this
on it,
is
so I can
this
do
is
that.
getting. Listen to me. This is
On my
getting out of
credit.
hand for a courtroom. Mr. Hampton. Mr. Hampton.
Right.
You're
Right. George Wright.
George Wright. Well, I'm not sure if you're right about a lot of things because you're at your stage. You have 2 children. You've never been married. You work as a stock person, which means you don't make a lot of money. As a stock person, at least, you don't make a lot of money.
It's part-time, so I'm all right.
Well, you can't work part-time and have 2 children. Who supports your children?
She does.
Me as well as the children's mother.
What are the? It's the same mother for both children?
No.
Oi.
2 sisters, a credit card bill, and a new boyfriend in the middle continues in a moment. Ajile Kwe claims her sister, Sabura Kwe Hampton, abused her credit card. But Sabura says it's really about her sister's attitude toward her new boyfriend.
Listen, Miss Quay. Listen to me very carefully. Sounds to me as if you did the right thing by taking your sister in. Took her in, you took your nephew in, you tried to make a home for them. Sounds to me as if she may be making yet another mistake.
I
You
doubt
can't
that.
do
I doubt that.
You can't do anything about that. Listen, you have a 4-year-old child. Sounds to me as if he makes children very rapidly at his age. He's got a
All men do.
six-month-old.
All
He's
men
got a
do.
six-month-old
That's what their
child.
job
Not
is.
all men.
That's their job. That's why God put men on this earth and women.
Don't
That's
make
why Adam and Eve.
Miss
that's why
Hampton.
God created them.
Don't make another mistake. You look like a very nice lady. You've already got a
and I'm a
4-year-old
very nice
child.
man.
You're
And he's a
20
very
years
nice
old.
man, and he
You've
does
already
support me, and we do live together, and he
You don't even
contributes.
know
Just a minute. How?
She
Just listen to me, Miss Hampton. Be smart.
You don't know nothing about me.
I want you to just, you don't have to be terrific in math to figure this out. According to the two of you, he moved in with you when his new baby was 2 months old, that he had with somebody else.
Nah, that's
that
not
should.
it.
You just told me you had a 6-month-old baby. You moved with him with
months. He's 7 months. in.
Please. Judgment
Me
in this
and the
case
woman
is for
was
the
not
plaintiff for
involved anymore.
$910. Listen, don't lend your credit card to anybody anymore. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
You don't have to prove who I'm with. I don't approve, and it has nothing to do with him. It has his influence on you. It has something with him. No, let me just let it boil down. It has something to do his influence on you to make you treat me like you did. That's what it boils down to.
If anything, I was helping her.
How was you helping her?
How was
How was you
you
locking me out the
together?
house?
If anything,
He was there for me. But why did I lock the house? Okay. But why did I lock the door?
Because you're crazy.
But why?
you didn't want
But why?
Because you didn't want me there.
I hug her because she's my sister. I hug her because she's my sister. I still love her, but this is not necessary.
And now, the next case.
Parties on Hall versus Burley. All parties on Hall versus Burley. Step forward, please.
Burliter Hall claims her niece, Ernestine Burley, kept $5,000 that wasn't hers. So she went after her with ammonia and a rope.
Well, I must tell you, Miss Hall, I really tried to understand your complaint.
Yes.
It was a little bit complex and very convoluted, so I'm not sure that I fully understand this real estate deal that you went into with the defendant, who is your niece.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you to try to explain it to me very quickly and very simply. You wanted to buy a house.
Yes.
And you had bad credit.
Yes.
And you thought your niece had better credit than you did.
Yes. As a matter of fact, the house I found, I put it in my son's name. He had no credit. After 3 weeks, the escrow company told me I was in trouble, had to close it within 10 days, otherwise it would fall out.
Otherwise you would lose the house.
Lose the house. So I called around and I called my niece to find out if she had very good credit, because I had to be able to close it in 10 days' time. This was in December '94. She said yes. In October '94, she had opened an escrow for her son.
Just tell me. So she said she had good credit.
Excellent credit.
So what did you do?
Okay. When she said that, I put her name on all the documents, all paperwork in that escrow. She gave me permission to sign her name. There were just 2 pieces of paper that required her signature by notarization.
So does that mean that the house was going to be in her name?
Exactly.
So far, is she telling it correctly?
Yes.
Well, we've reached a good point.
Mm-hmm.
So the house was going to be in her name.
Right. Yes.
But you were going to be the tenant in the house, or you were going to use it for business or something else?
The house was going to be a family house. The house, I told her if she would let me use her credit, I would pay her $5,000 this way. The house would close escrow, then I would turn around and get a Title I loan for $25,000, pay her the $5,000, put the house into a family trust. We have been losing a lot of our relatives, brothers, and we needed a family home.
Did the house fall into default?
Yes. We were never able
to buy it.
Never able to make a payment.
But you got a check for $5,000.
Yes, that's what after the house was sold.
Well,
but it was a problem in selling.
How come you got a check for $5,000? You didn't invest any money, did you?
It's a finder's fee.
Just a minute. Let me understand this. You didn't find a buyer for the house, is that right?
No. Somebody else brought the buyer there.
No. Let me clear this up in my own mind. The lender couldn't sell the house because your name was on the deed. So in order to get you to sign to sell the house, the lender said to you, I'll give you $5,000 if you sign?
No, he said, like she said, when the house went in default, by me signing the quitclaim deed, that was the arrangement from the beginning. I had to say, if the house go in default, it automatically goes back to Alice Turner, and he takes over. But yet still, I'm still was legally responsible for the house because we got sued for the house being in default because there was a second on the house.
Second mortgage, you mean?
Second mortgage.
Did it cost you any money?
It cost me clearing up my credit because they put a judgment against me.
Because the house went into default?
Yes, it
How
was.
much did it cost you to clean up your credit?
I was paying them, the lawyer gave Lori $500.
Her answer says that you went to some unusual steps to try to get your money.
Your Honor,
yes, she attacked me. She came to my house and sprayed ammonia in my face.
Did you do that?
Yes, she
Let
did.
me tell you what I did.
Let me hear what you did.
The lender called and said, come in to me to sign for the $5,000 check. She had to go in there to sign another piece of paperwork in this letter, as indicated. So I asked her, I said, Ernestine, sign the $5,000 note for me also, and I will give you $2,500 to help you get on your feet.
Did she say that to you?
No, I don't know about no note. No.
How did you get your hands on the check?
The check came to my job in my name.
Can I see the letter that you have, please, indicating that the check came to you?
Right where it's marked there, and on this
Listen
also.
to me, Ms. Hall.
Yes.
She says that you went to some unusual steps to try to get your money, like trying to kidnap her and putting ammonia in her face. Did you do that?
Yes, I did that. I had a big old shopping bag. In that shopping bag, I had 3 ropes. I had a scarf with tape. I had what I thought in reading some book that was going to knock her out. She was in bed,
Yeah, I was asleep.
And I sprayed it on her. No, when I walked up and I sprayed it on her, and she said, what is this crap, or some other word, you doing putting in my face? I was going to kidnap her, and I thought this spray was going to knock her out. I was going to, when she's knocked her out, drag her to my car and drag her up my flight of stairs to my apartment, tie her up around the toilet in the bathroom because I felt that she would not be able to move the toilet, put the gag in her mouth and put tape over her, and make her sign a check for $2,500.
You've been watching too much television.
But when you are upset, you do what you got to do, okay? Because that's just, I mean, I was bonkers, but she had no reason, no right to take that money. I've been taking care of her, basically, since '93.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
The intention was for everything to go well with this house so that it would be a family house and family members would be able to live there. The fact that the house was lost is very unfortunate.
Yes.
It's unfortunate not because I don't think this lady has the will not to have made it successful, because clearly if she intended to put ammonia in your face, right, drag you up to her toilet, tie you up until you sign the check over to her, this lady is a lady of will, right? So I would say that she did not purposefully let this house go into default. So this was an unfortunate situation. But it seems to me 2 relatives who have been good to each other over the course of their lifetime should not end up in a court. She made you an offer. The offer to me sounds like a perfectly reasonable one. She said that she told you that she would split this check with you. She would get $2,500, and for using your name, she would give you $2,500. That sounds very fair to me. The judgment of the court is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Thank you.
Judge Judy will be... While he was in jail for beating his common-law wife, Tony Funes says Elizabeth Guzman swindled him out of a car.
Order, all rise. Order, all rise, please. Now, this is number 32 on the calendar in the matter of Funes Guzman. You may be seated.
Sir, I've read your complaint. This is an interesting story.
Very interesting, isn't it? Unbelievable.
Well, let's see how unbelievable it is. You claim that the defendant got you to give her the pink slip to a car under false pretenses.
Absolutely.
And let me try to put it to some chronological order, your very, very long complaint. I'm not sure if I can even do that with regard to your answer.
It'll be nothing but lies.
You were...
Step and take your hands out of your pocket, please.
Relax. You're very tense.
Listen
to me. We're talking here about money. Sir.
Yes, it's just what's right, too.
Listen to me. We're talking here about money. So try to relax.
All right.
You lived together for about 8 years?
That's correct.
You have a child? One child.
Yeah, but she doesn't think it's mine.
Do you think it's yours?
I think so, for 3 years.
All right. So you were in jail.
I got
because
incarcerated.
because she had you arrested for assaulting her.
Spousal abuse, correct.
Well, you weren't married.
That's correct.
And while you were in jail, according to your complaint, she came to jail and, among other things, asked you for the pink slip to a car.
That's right.
That you had evidently been holding.
My mother-in-law, she was holding it. Her mother had it all the time.
Okay, so it was in her possession.
Correct.
And at that time, you said, I'm not interested in giving you the pink slip on the car. But when you got out of jail, she told you if you gave her the pink slip, everything would be terrific.
She called me 2 weeks in jail. I called her 2 weeks. She said, what's going on? And she says, I want the pink slip. I said, what do you want the pink slip for? I don't understand. I just want the pink slip. I want it in my hands. And I don't know why she's asking for it all of a sudden, because she's screwing around on me.
So what happened?
I said, I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why until I got out, and then I started seeing her actions and hearing stories.
So, right now she doesn't have the pink slip. You didn't give her the pink slip when
I
you
didn't
were in
give her
jail.
the pink slip at that time, no.
Okay, so
but
when
she
did
was
you...
bugging like for it.
So what happened?
So she swindled me for it. She started lying to me, telling me, give me the pink slip, that everything will be okay and all this stuff. A bunch of lies. I can't remember right now. I'm so furious.
And you gave her the pink slip?
I gave her the pink slip, yes. She said, if you love me, you'll give me the car, and you would give me the pink slip to the car.
Who paid for this car?
I paid $1,000 for the car. I put it together. I put the transmission in it, and I put it together. This is a car I put together. She gave up her car, and I also put that car together.
Well, you did work on these two cars.
Yes.
Who paid for the cars? You put in $1,000.
Yes.
She acknowledges you put in $1,000. How much did you pay for the car?
For her car?
Yeah.
She paid probably about $1,300, probably, maybe $1,000, something like that.
How much did you pay for the car?
She put in about
No,
that
how much did you pay for the car, madam?
How much did I pay? I did a trade.
And how much did you pay for the car that you traded up for?
Before that,
yes.
Approximately $3,000.
That's a lie. That's
how much do you think she paid for the car?
We bought that car from the Recycler newspaper. We bought that car for $500 damage. She put another $500 in it because it had a bad motor. And then after that, she paid me like $400 to do it. She bought me the radio that she stole from me.
Okay, so she put in at least half the money for this car, correct?
Less than that. Excuse me.
She put in, even according to you, at least half between the trade-up and the money she gave you
That's
for
correct.
this car.
Probably something like that.
Is that about right?
A lot more than half.
That's a lie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You smell of lying, ma'am. If lying had an odor, she would smell just like it.
Let me ask you this question. You're very angry, sir. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say something that maybe will make you a little bit more angry, but it'll bring things down to perspective here. Did you beat her up? Is that why you were in jail?
I struck her, yes.
How many times did you strike her, sir?
I don't remember. Probably a couple of times.
Where did you strike her? Where on her body did you strike her that caused you to be incarcerated?
On her legs and maybe on her face. I don't remember.
Was this the first time that you hit her?
No, it's not. It's not.
Well, I want to tell you something. Maybe she feels as if this is payment for all those beatings.
Absolutely.
Well, so what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that, sir? What's wrong with that? You beat her up. She could have, each time that you beat her up, taken you to court. And if I were the judge, I would have fined you substantially for each one of those assaults.
Your Honor,
just listen to me.
Okay.
Because I want you, right now you think you're a terrible victim. And you think you're a terrible victim just over this car, which maybe is worth a few $1,000s. You just told me that you've beaten her over a period of time. The last time you were in jail,
and you acknowledge that you beat her.
But
You
Judge,
think that's right?
But Judge, this is not about beating her
No.
up. This is about swindling a car.
No, and what I'm telling you is you're standing there, sir, as if you're wounded. As if she did something terrible to you.
I was swindled for the car.
What about being beaten, sir?
Who cares about that?
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Stay tuned. He admits to beating her, but he says that doesn't matter. He says she swindled him out of a car.
But Judge, this is not about beating her
No.
up. This is about swindling a car.
Listen, sir, I'm talking about that because you don't seem to hear me.
Okay.
You don't seem to hear me. It may not be right that she said, I paid for half and I want the whole car. If you put your hands on me, you wouldn't have a quarter in the bank. Not a quarter. I would have your salary attached from today until the year 2050 if you live that long.
Okay, so
You're not supposed to put your hands on anybody, and if she got even, sir, by taking half of your car, consider yourself lucky. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please. Ma'am, step out the back door to your right, please. Ma'am. The back door to your right.
I just like to say that I wish the person that I was honestly with in the past to get on with his life and leave me alone.
She just swindled me and she knows she's a conniving son of a. She knows that she took the car away from me. She knows it. Look at her. She's laughing. Look at her. Look at her. She's laughing. Yeah, you're happy, huh?
No, I'm not.
You're not happy?
I want you to get on with your life.
This was a case about a car. The way she swindled a car from me. She used that against me. That wasn't right.
It never was yours.
It never was.
No.
That's why I put it together.
That's
and you're
all
driving
you
around.
did.
You're going in my car, another guy.
Not your car.
Not your car.
It's mine.
Yeah,
Look
when
it.
I gave the
Mine.
pink
Here's
slip.
the pink slip
When
with
I
my
gave
name.
the pink slip, you swindled me for it.
Never swindle anyone.
Yes, you did. You
pink
on
slip.
me.
My mother did.
You on me,
No,
man.
I wasn't.
You were having an affair on me.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
And now, the next case.
Parties on Guarneri versus Swinford. All parties, step up, please.
Roberta Guarnieri is upset that her former son-in-law left her daughter. Now, she says it's payback time for David Swinford.
Your Honor, this is case number 17 on the calendar in the matter of Guarneri versus Swinford. You may be seated.
Mrs. Guarneri, Mr. Swinford is, according to your papers, your soon-to-be ex-son-in-law.
That's correct.
How long was he married to your daughter?
About 2.5 years.
No children?
Yes, they have one son that's almost, he'll be 2 years old in December.
Your complaint says that while your daughter and soon-to-be ex-son-in-law were living together, you lent them some money to fix an old truck, $463.
That's correct. It was actually for two cars, a Ford Explorer and for a large truck. I don't know what it's called. It's got an extra cab in the back. And they were supposed to pay me back when they traded the cars in. And then when David left my daughter for his best friend's wife, I didn't want to extend any credit to him any longer and asked to have him pay it back.
Just
and he
him?
has paid it back in the past. We have also paid for other bills for him.
Well, for him and your daughter.
No, even before they were married, we paid off a stereo of his.
But
because
while
he
they
was
were
paying-
married, you paid some things.
Yes, we
You
paid
let-
off a Visa bill so they wouldn't have to pay the interest, and then they made payments to us.
And you want him to pay back this whole bill to you?
That's correct.
Why is that?
Well, it went to his benefit. My daughter's now without any car, and the money was used to pay off and his other cars and purchase cars. He bought
I'm
another
talking about
car.
this money. This money you said was just used to fix up a couple of cars.
Right, and we were supposed to be paid back when the cars were traded or sold. And the purpose was to fix them up so that they were in better shape so they could get a better value on the car. And they traded in and we didn't get the money back. So she still doesn't have a car.
All right, David, let's hear from you.
She is driving a brand new car right now, my ex-wife.
Well, I assume
And-
that you didn't buy that.
No, I did not.
Her parents did.
And I have bought a few vehicles since then, and she was driving the vehicles, the Acura and the van. She was driving both of
Well,
those.
but we're talking about right now. You know.
Right now, I also was left without a vehicle in this divorce. So I'm struggling. I have to pick up my son from their house to...
What happened to your cars?
My ex-wife repossessed it and took it to the leasing agency.
Is that right?
Yes.
So he doesn't have a car, and you have the use of a car that he didn't provide. You have the use of a car through your parents.
He also has the use of a car through
Yes,
his parents.
I do now.
Step up here.
He has the use of a car through his parents.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
The girlfriend that they're referring to was since we've been separated.
Your best friend's wife.
Since you separated?
Yes.
That make you angry?
His best friend's wife? Yes.
Roberta Guarnieri is upset that her former son-in-law left her daughter. Now, she says it's payback time for David Swinford.
What I really want to know is, why are you angry? Is that why you decided to sue him?
Yeah, I suppose that would be part of it. And he's left her in considerable debt as well. And I don't feel that we both got, my husband and I both had cuts in pay, and we're no longer able to provide support. And we'd like to get some relief back.
Right now, I'm paying my ex-wife, $1,500 a month for child support and alimony.
Are you paying that?
Yes, right now.
But it also discontinues after 9 months.
Well, the child support will not discontinue
Right,
until
but
the child
the
is
alimony
older.
will.
So you're paying $1,500 a month.
Yes.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a refinery worker at Chevron in El Segundo.
How much do you earn?
About $60,000 a year.
And what do you do?
I'm unemployed. I'm a student.
You live at home with your parents?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I also live at home with my parents.
Okay. And he's giving you $1,500 a month. Is he faithful in giving you that money?
Yes, he is.
What do you do with that money?
I was in another car accident, which I've been paying medical bills, paying rent to my parents, paying off other bills that he left me with.
Did he have some of those bills?
Yes.
So he was left with some bills and you were left with some bills?
Yes.
I didn't leave her with any bills. I'm stuck right now with $25,000.
You have all your utility bills.
I'm stuck right now with about $25,000 in bills. The utility bills that they're talking about are bills that, after I had left the house, she had utility bills on the house that is my house. She was living in the house still for a few months after we separated.
Is that right?
Until he kicked her out, yes.
Yes.
Is that right? You were living
I
there.
had our son. He didn't come up to see the son at all for about 2
I
weeks,
didn't
so
want to
I was
argue
watching
with
our
the
son.
ex-wife. That's why I didn't bother to go up there.
Well, what I don't understand is he is faithfully paying the amount that he was ordered to pay. Clearly, he's got a substantial nut that he has to repay, which is not particularly terrible. I mean, you can understand why they're angry. I mean, if you left her daughter for somebody else.
That's not exactly what happened. She
close?
also has had boyfriends since. She's had quite a few boyfriends since we've separated.
We're not talking about since you separated, David.
This
We're talking about before. I assume that what
The girlfriend that they're referring to was since we've been separated.
Your best friend's wife.
Since you separated.
Yes.
That make you angry?
His best friend's wife? Yes.
Ex-wife.
Well,
Wife.
but that was since you've been separated.
No.
You say it was before.
He left for her.
How do you know that?
Because they went to Palm Springs 5 days later.
5 days, David?
They
That
also
isn't even a
didn't come
reasonable
home.
mourning period, David. You know what I mean?
There was no. I wanted to leave. That's why there was no mourning.
Okay. Look, this loan of $460 was extended to both your daughter and your son-in-law at a time that they were together. It seems unreasonable for you to want him to pay that entire loan. They both had benefit of the vehicles that they bought.
Not on the truck. He never allowed her to drive the truck, other than to take it in for the repairs. She wasn't even allowed to drive it out of the driveway half the time.
Did you ever drive the truck?
Very rarely.
Did you ever drive the truck?
Around the block.
You drove the truck. So the answer is yes, you drove the truck.
Yes. But the Ford Explorer was paid off. His truck was not.
Doesn't make any difference. The loan was extended, Ms. Guinieri, to both your children. And it seems unreasonable. And you acknowledge that this was a debt that was incurred to them. It was a joint debt, correct?
I am not even sure that they paid for this. I haven't. The only thing I've seen is receipts for the work that was done, and they were signed. They were all signed by my ex-wife.
Did you have those receipts?
Yes, and they were on my Visa bill.
Well, you knew that the work was done on the car, David.
Yes, I.
All right.
She's ready to rule in a moment.
Things aren't always exactly equal when people split up. Irrespective of whose fault it is, somebody always gets a little bit more in debt, and somebody always winds up a little bit better off financially. I have my sense that you're angry with him because your daughter is unhappy. She has a child that she's going to be taken care of for a long time.
I have the child almost 50% of the time right now.
Do you?
Yes.
I'm very pleased to hear that. That's really very good for a child to spend substantial time with both parents. So that's a very good thing. So I think that this was a joint debt, and I think that each of you have a responsibility to repay your mother, your soon-to-be former mother-in-law, for half of the amounts that she's requesting. She should not be out that money. You both acknowledge that these repairs were made. So the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $232. I've rounded it off to the closest dollar.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Your Honor. Parties are excused. Step out.
Judge Judy will return in
Ly sin là gì và thiếu ly sin thì nó sẽ ảnh hưởng như thế nào đến sức khỏe của bé. Chúng ta hay nghe về việc bổ sung ly sin, nhưng chúng ta có biết ly sin là gì không ạ? Bố mẹ có biết ly sin là gì không? Ly sin nó là một trong 9 cái axit amin thiết yếu cần có trong bữa ăn hàng ngày của trẻ. Không giống như các axit amin khác, cơ thể không thể tự tổng hợp được ly sin. Do đó, cơ thể chỉ có được ly sin thông qua cái chế độ ăn uống. Và ly sin thì nếu như bé mà thiếu ly sin thì sẽ có những cái ảnh hưởng như sau. Ví dụ như bé sẽ chậm phát triển này, rồi cơ thể sẽ dễ bị mệt mỏi này, bị yếu cơ này, rồi hay ốm vặt này, hệ miễn dịch sẽ bị suy giảm. Vậy thì lysin có một cái vai trò rất là quan trọng đối với sức khỏe của trẻ, đúng không ạ? Nếu mà thiếu lysin thì trẻ dễ bị mệt mỏi này, dễ bị ốm vặt này, rồi ăn không ngon này. Đấy. Thì vậy thì bổ sung lysin sẽ mang lại những lợi ích gì? Bổ sung lysin sẽ hỗ trợ sự phát triển và tăng trưởng của bé. Lysin đóng vai trò quan trọng trong quá trình tổng hợp protein và là cái yếu tố cơ bản cho sự phát triển của cơ bắp, của xương và các cái mô khác. Bổ sung lysin giúp đảm bảo rằng cơ thể trẻ có đủ nguyên liệu cần thiết để xây dựng và củng cố các mô và xương, góp phần quan trọng vào sự phát triển khỏe mạnh của trẻ. Tiếp theo là lợi ích của cái việc bổ sung lysin, đó là tăng cường cái hệ miễn dịch cho bé. Thì lysin tham gia vào quá trình sản xuất các cái kháng thể giúp tăng cường hệ miễn dịch và bảo vệ cơ thể chống lại bệnh nhiễm trùng. Bổ sung lysin giúp cơ thể sản xuất đủ lượng kháng thể cần thiết để duy trì hệ miễn dịch khỏe mạnh, giúp bé ít ốm vặt và có khả năng chống lại các cái tác nhân gây bệnh hiệu quả. Cải thiện chức năng tiêu hóa. Lysin có tác dụng kích thích sự tiết axit trong dạ dày, hỗ trợ quá trình tiêu hóa và hấp thu các chất dinh dưỡng từ thực phẩm. Điều này giúp cải thiện chức năng tiêu hóa của trẻ, ngăn ngừa tình trạng khó tiêu, đầy hơi, táo bón, hấp thụ dinh dưỡng tốt hơn và đảm bảo cung cấp đủ cái dinh dưỡng cho sự phát triển. Lysin còn hỗ trợ hấp thụ canxi. Thì lysin giúp cơ thể hấp thụ và sử dụng canxi hiệu quả hơn, từ đó hỗ trợ sự phát triển của xương và răng. Việc bổ sung lysin cùng với canxi sẽ giúp trẻ em có bộ xương chắc khỏe, phòng ngừa các cái vấn đề liên quan đến xương như là loãng xương và sâu răng. Vậy là vi sinh có vai trò rất là quan trọng đối với sự phát triển của trẻ em. Vì thế cho nên là bố mẹ hãy lưu ý về cái việc bổ sung vi sinh cho con.